everyone, and welcome back to another day here at the Damage Report. Not just any day though, it's Wednesday. Big news Wednesdays, and we've got too much news. The rundown is bursting at the seams. You know who else bursting at the seams? J.R. Jackson is, and J.R. Jackson's here with us. JR is like 30 feet away from me, sort of, in a different room, but it's almost like we're doing the show together again.
Yeah, I mean, it's close enough. That's why I had to jump in and at least say hi to everyone while you're doing the pre-show. So sorry to interrupt that, first of all, but I'm also happy I interrupted because I like doing things like that. It's fun.
Exactly. I remember back in the day, Bart used to just like sidle into the shot and like give me some take about movies or something, and be like, shut up about Rudy Giuliani. Here's what you need to know about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Anyway, so I look forward to those days again.
Yeah, I did realize though that JR Wednesday was seeping into JR Tuesday, and I didn't like that. Someone came on trying to chat people up in the chat. So I heard about this. I'm gonna make sure you guys know that was 100% me.
It was. He's 100% that chatter. Anyway, apparently we're having some sort of audio sync issue, possibly just on Twitch, but I'm sure our experts are on it. So what we've got for you is almost in sync 90 minutes of news, and it's gonna be so good. We've got the return of Meanwhile in twice in 1 week. In this world, yes, it's gonna be here. We've got dog news for you. Who are the good boys? Who are the not so good boys? We've got both of those. Let's see, we've got Kenny Clip's most recent revelation about what people are being taught in a Navy counterterrorism course. So that's definitely gonna be fun. Supreme Court weighs in on cheerleaders. It's about time, and some awful people too. And Fox News, with the perfect opportunity to show their right-wing populist credentials, curiously silent. We're gonna be breaking down why that might be. And then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff. And if we get to everything, which is looking less likely the longer I go on, we've got maybe my favorite story of the entire year to close out the show. So we're gonna do our best to get to that, JR. JR, don't look. If you haven't already looked, don't look. I don't want you to know what it is. But anyway, Jared, thank you for being here. And thank you for being here, regardless of where you're watching. We love you continuing to support the show and the network. Please hit the like button, share the stream. The people know that we're live. And as we go through this, we're gonna be responding to your questions, comments, concerns, and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. And more on that to come. But JR, why don't we get this thing started?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. I wasn't ready, but now I think I am. New York's mayoral race isn't quite done. It's gonna take something like possibly 3 weeks to get the final results, but we do know a little bit. The sort of general shape of the race is pretty set. And one of the first casualties of that was Andrew Yang, who originally led in the polls for some time, did concede defeat last night after results from the first vote count showed him slumping, and former police officer, and I believe former Republican as well, Eric Adams in the lead. And so Andrew Yang, who had been leading for some time, is now out of the race. So here are the actual results for the first count. As of last night, you have Eric Adams, who might or might not actually live in New York City. And then you have Maya Wiley, who was the progressive in the race, who'd gotten endorsements from people like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others, trailing by like 9 points or so. And then it drops from there. You have Catherine Garcia, former New York City sanitation commissioner, down to Andrew Yang, Scott Stringer, who I believe AOC ranked second, and then down from there. So look, there's a pretty big gap between Eric Adams and Maya Wiley. I don't know how or to what extent the ranked choice additional votes can or possibly will influence the final result. But that is, Jared, that's what it's looking like so far, at least for the mayor's race.
Am I right? Eric Adams was involved with that debate where they went off the rails and were hollering about, they were going back and forth about something that was completely unrelated. And I thought seems like the 2016 primaries for the Republicans. So I thought the whole race was just a toss up of clown show. And Especially since we're trying to figure out who to replace over in New York as for the mayor race. But maybe I'm missing where he has this stranglehold on the race and why he's convinced so many people.
So look, I'm not an expert on New York City politics or anything like that. But Eric Adams is apparently a known quantity in New York politics for something like 2.5 decades. He's been around, not always as a Democrat, but he has been around for some time. And there are some of the boroughs that he's just did very well in and apparently had some base of support. And it started off this whole conversation about to what extent social media following actually translates into a political following. Lots of people are like, see, Andrew Yang's got lots of followers, but he didn't do well. And all of you are saying that Twitter followers are the only thing that matters, even though I literally never heard anybody say that. But if you don't believe that, you sure like to pretend that others are saying it.
Well, Andrew Yang was tweeting and going on very bad PR tours with his social media following.
He had some missteps.
Yeah, so it's not always just about a social media following. This is one of those things where people like to say, oh, well, how many followers do you have? Oh, well, look at the subscribers. But that doesn't always mean that people are gonna like you or that people are gonna like what you use your following for and the things that you say to all those people. You make more news because of those things. So when you do have these missteps and these outright ridiculous statements that you make, yeah, they're gonna have a bigger effect on you. It's not always just the perfect recipe.
Sure. And so let's see. As of right now, the progressive isn't leading, is unlikely to win. At least it's complicated. It's the first ranked choice vote, so we'll see what happens. And hopefully it'll work smoothly, so that more people will be comfortable with ranked choice elections coming to their area as well. But anyway, there were other races, of course. We want to touch on a few of those. So in Manhattan, the district attorney's race was still too close to call. Alvin Bragg, a progressive, holding, and by the way, some of these are definitely candidates that I am not going to pretend that I am particularly familiar with their background. So before you take the pitch of the New York Times on someone's ideological background, definitely do research for yourself. But hopefully we'll have some of these people on. But anyway, is holding a narrow lead over Tali Farhadian Weinstein in the city comptroller's race to replace the termed out Mr. Stringer, who is running for mayor. Brad Lander, a progressive Park Slope, Brooklyn, led Corey Johnson, the city council speaker, by a similar margin as Mr. Adams led Miss Wiley in the mayor's race. So it's not a strict the progressives got blown out thing or anything like that. Jumaane Williams, who's been on the program a couple of times in the past, won his primary with 70% of the vote for New York City public advocate. And you also have Tiffany Caban, who's also been on the program, who previously ran for Queens district attorney. This is not a settled race, but is currently leading by quite a bit in one of the city council races. And in fact, as much as having a new mayor, of course, is gonna be a big change, there's a lot of turnover in the city council as well. By far more than there generally is in any random election. So who knows what's gonna happen for New York? Who knows what could happen if a progressive wins, as opposed to someone who the New York Police Union seems to be cool with and used to be a Republican. But anyway, that's what it's looking like for some of these races. Any other thoughts, JR?
No.
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, we'll see.
New York.
I know it's tough. Honestly, like it's such a major city. Of course, it does matter. What happens in New York does affect the rest of the country. That said, we are about as far from New York as you can get inside of the United States. Anyway, that said, I do want to move on to maybe the thing that's getting me most excited in politics so far today, at least. Let's talk about Buffalo and their new socialist mayor. What? In America, in this economy? India Walton, Democratic Socialist, poised to upset the 4-term incumbent Democrat Byron Brown. And look, this is someone I wish we'd brought on the show already, but hopefully we'll talk to you in the near future. This is an exciting person that I am rapidly becoming kind of in love with. So you might recall a couple years ago when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won, that video went viral of her like reacting to winning in real time. I saw this video last night. Many of you probably saw, of India Walton, who had just found out that she had much more than likely won, calling her mom to tell her about it. And I want to show you a little bit.
Mommy! I won! Mommy, I'm the mayor of Buffalo. Well, not till January, but yeah. Like, yes! Oh my God. Yes, Mom! I won!
mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna say to that?
It doesn't get any more organic or natural than that. We talk about politicians. We talk about how fake and fraudulent politicians are, and how they're not really real people. They're just taking marching orders from their donors, which are large corporations all the time. This is like a real reaction to something that she truly cares about, because she cares about her city and her state and her community, and wants to do something different. Now, you remember the people made fun of Kamala Harris when there was that picture of her talking to Joe Biden, we won, or we made it, or we got it. I forget what stage it was, but this rang some remnants of that for me. Except it was more at the direct level of someone who has been connected with people for much longer. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad at. There's so many people got mad at the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden picture and how because they were opponents of them winning, and I get that. But so it's not to compare it and say that was fake and this is real. This one just has more of a direct connection to it, because she has these ideas of what she wants to do, which I know you're gonna get to, and that's the inspiring part.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, you're gonna interpret this largely based off of politics. Like, if you hate socialism or whatever, then you're not gonna like that. In the same way that, like, if we had a version of that for Madison Cawthorn, where he was like, hey, Heil mom, just wanted to let you know that I won. That wouldn't be that endearing, I guess. It comes down to your politics potentially. But anyway, that said, she's like, and again, I don't have like the biggest encyclopedic knowledge of her history. Hopefully we will discover that. But she says that in her first 100 days, she's promised to sign a tenant's bill of rights that would install a tenant advocate and institute rent control. She wants to remove police from responding to most mental health calls. She plans to declare Buffalo a sanctuary city, and she will give you more. But I want to get to another bit of video, because she was asked about the fact that she's a socialist. And here's the thing: when that happens, what you're supposed to do is run like you're Steven Crowder and you caught someone who looked vaguely like Sam Cedar. You're supposed to get out of there, because that's the worst thing you could possibly be. But not for India Walton. Here's what she had to say.
Yourself a socialist? Oh, absolutely. The entire intent of this campaign is to draw down power and resources to the ground level and to the hands of the people. And when we think about socialism, we're perfectly fine with socialism for the rich. We will bail out Wall Street and banks and give $1 billion in tax incentives to one of the richest people in the world to build an empty Tesla factory in South Buffalo. And when it comes to providing the resources that working families need to thrive, socialism becomes scary at that point. So I'm very proud to be a democratic socialist. I am proud to have the support of Buffalo DSA and National DSA. I received a call from Congresswoman AOC this evening, and I'm just excited to be a part of this movement that is ushering progressive politics into Buffalo.
It's that easy. No, you're not terrified. You're not gonna run away. You're gonna actually fight back against the nonsense propaganda that has made people think that socialists are what the working class should fear. They're the ones that they should be so scared of. Those who are trying to get them higher wages, a little bit more influence over the workplace, better working conditions, things like that, actual possible retirement someday. Those are the people that you should be scared of. And she's not scared. And who knows? I mean, we'll have to see. Like with any candidate, once you're elected, let's see. Do you maintain the same values? Do you push for the same things? I didn't go to high school with her. I don't know her. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna see.
Yeah, asked and answered. So that's the thing. This is what happens when you have principles and you have a direction you want to go with things, with actual policy behind it. So if someone says, "Oh, are you a socialist?" and you have to be afraid and go, "Oh my God, that's a trigger word." People who don't think are going to get mad at me if they hear me say, "Kind of." Let me say it's a socialist, kind of, somewhat, 25%, because then they've won this narrative for this whole time, for this long. We have to push back on that. So if you have some answers behind it for reasons why you are, and point out that no one's asking the kinds of corporatist politicians when they go and they win a primary or they're first elected into office and they go, "So are you a corporatist? Because we saw your donations." We don't ask people that. We don't ask them that immediately. "Oh, so your major donors are all corporations. So are you not a capitalist but a corporatist?" Like, ask them. And then, or why is not the pressure on them to answer that question and explain themselves? She was asked that question and she explained herself happily, because the things that she has values and principles on are things that majority of Americans would like to see impacted in their lives. It's just the way it is. It's such a simple equation. I'm being elected to represent people and do what they need to help them assist their lives because they pay me to do that. Not only just in the campaign contributions, but also in their taxes. We pay so much money and don't get anything back. And because someone stands up and says, let's start giving something back to the people who pay for it, they're considered a bad person. We're so upside down and backwards right now. We got to start flipping the script on that.
Yeah. And like you said in response to the first video, again, like we're probably biased, we're probably in a bubble or whatever, and things can change and blah blah blah. If you like someone, you're gonna value things they say differently than if you don't like them. But that said, like she does seem more genuine. She hasn't obviously been like, she's not like Drago being groomed by all these scientists in a lab somewhere. She was a nurse. And she seems like it. So, when she calls her mom, it seems genuine. When she like can't help smiling that AOC called her to congratulate her, like, yeah, I remember when AOC first followed me. Yeah, I was smiling like a dummy. So that's a real reaction from a real person. And beyond that, I have one more bit of video that I love so much. So she's obviously excited to have been elected. It's a big thing. The first socialist mayor of a major US city since Milwaukee, which many of you probably learned from Wayne's World. But anyway, here's what she has to say about the movement going forward.
Today is only the beginning. That's right. From the very start, I said, this is not about making India Walton mayor of Buffalo. This is about building the infrastructure to challenge every damn seat. All that we are doing in this moment is claiming what is rightfully ours. That's we are the workers. We are the workers. We do the work.
Yeah, and like, I apologize if I'm missing that that's some reference to something, but like, we are the workers, we do the work. That seems like a pretty effective slogan, actually. We are the workers, so we want to be bamboozled by right wingers into caring more about Dr. Seuss and anthropomorphic potatoes genitalia. No, we do the work. We want to be paid for the work. We want to be respected for the work that we do. I love that video, JR. It's so good.
No, it's the kinds of lines and it's the kinds of approach that would make people have to actually dispute the facts and dispute what she wants. And also, we talk about a unifying message. Politicians have confused enough people to think a unifying message simply has to say everything you want that this politician says you want, we'll go with, and everything that this politician says we want, we're gonna have to find somewhere in the middle to find it. How about we do the things that benefit American people? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Those things that she is proposing will benefit you because there's collective people. All of you guys pay into this. It doesn't have to be because I want something to help the American people that's a lib socialist policy only. Because again, we've talked about this many times, even when Obamacare came in, which was very half-hearted. But even when that came in and people talked about the actual things that were included in it, people that were so against Obama and Obamacare, when they didn't label that name to it, they're like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Because it did. It's just straightforward. It's what it did. Anytime they take your brain away from the policies of actually what's in these policies and the effectiveness of how they will change your life, if they take that out and then go with labels instead, you're being tricked. Yeah. Think about what's being done and said, and take some time to get to some of the details. And I get if you don't have that time, but listen to someone who's telling you.
Yeah, and that applies to literally every politician. So one of the reasons that people have so much respect for Bernie Sanders is because he has been saying the same thing for longer than I've been alive. Like he didn't change once he got into the Senate. And with India Walton, I mean, who knows? I mean, when you see speeches like that, you can't help but wonder where her political career is gonna take her. But we have to actually watch. I don't know her. She's not in my board game group. We're not related. I don't know her.
We're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on the board game group. Maybe she'll get it there.
The Mayor Walton, if you'd like to play some online board games and talk about socialism, I think that would be awesome. Let's please do that. But anyway, we will see, and we need more people like this. A reminder: actually trying to change the system by talking about it, by organizing about it, by running for office is incredibly difficult. It is often very slow. It's going to be riddled with defeats. I can name so many candidates that I wanted to win so bad that have lost. Bernie Sanders is on that list twice. That said, it's also the only way. And if India Walton had decided, the system, the establishment, it's so annoying. I like politics. Let's just tweet about it or whatever. Then she wouldn't be mayor, and we wouldn't have AOC, and we wouldn't have, name a ton of politicians. So, like, she says that her political inspiration was Cori Bush. Cori Bush did that same fight in her area. And so now they will prove to be the inspiration for other people. And really fast, I just want to play one more thing because I really appreciated this. So in that video, she talks about how she's putting them on notice. It is building the infrastructure to challenge every seat, school board, city council, everything. She screen capped a part of the video with that quote and then tweeted out, "I said what I said." Yeah, if you're in elected office, you're being put on notice. I love that. And she is, of course, on notice as well going forward. Every politician is. You're only worth what you can actually get done. But that said, it is a reason to be excited. And I'm excited right now. Thank you, India Walton.
We're looking to see what's next. I like it.
We are. Okay, we're gonna take our first break. When we come back, socialism. Good for Buffalo, apparently bad for the military. So we'll be giving you Ken Klippenstein's latest at The Intercept after this. Hello, everybody. Let's see what's going on. Let's start with the super chats. Oh, there were a couple of super chats we didn't get to yesterday that I really wanted to respond to because I saw this too from the Progressive Carpenter, who I've talked to a little bit in the past. Says, "Hey, John Yasmin, who was my co-host yesterday. It's my birthday today, so can I get a shout out to me and my 5-month-old pit bull Crash? He's my first puppy. I got him in March, and it's the best decision I ever made. So much love to TYT and Dragon Squad. Progressive Carpenter, happy birthday!" And happy birthday. Crash sounds awesome. Elizabeth says, "John, thank you for calling out injustice and corruption. You, Jake, and Anna are my American heroes. I'm also fighting for change by running for Congress in my district. CA 38, wish me luck." Well, that's awesome. Maybe we'll talk. On this eventually. Okay, let's see. Ray Turner says, "Love the new format, John, because the new break means my dog Dougie gets fed at the right time and I don't miss any of the show." Hey, wait, then he's not listening to this.
Exactly, you missed your shout out, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with the format. Anyway, let's see. Alex Merrill is having a really scary dental procedure tomorrow and just need a little positivity from the Dragon Squad. I've been there. I understand it.
What's this member's name or viewer's name?
Let me.
It's okay if you don't have it.
Alex, Dragon Queen, Alexis Merrill.
So Dragon Queen, trust. I've been through multiple versions of what you're probably going through. Just chill and breathe. And I almost fell asleep many times. Just try to relax.
You know what? Like, people are like nervous around needles. They don't like getting like a shot or whatever. Man, a shot in the arm is nothing compared to when they need to numb up your mouth and they're sticking the needle into your gums every inch. That is 1,000 times worse. I mean, sorry, Alexis. I hope that your procedure goes well. There's no reason to be scared. It's gonna be so smooth. But I don't like the needle thing. Anyway, over on Twitch, I'm not a helpful person. Sorry. And someone says, no, John, stop helping.
So bad at this, bro.
I'm John. I'm helping. That's a t-shirt for you. Anyway. Over in Twitch, Cherish GOU gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you for that. Lynn subscribed for the 12th month, a full year, Lynn. Thank you for that year with us. A sip of bitter covfefe subscribed for 5 months, says, "I love Big News Wednesday with JR. John, you're okay too. Here's some Bezos bucks. Fellow woodworker here as well." That's awesome. I'm hoping, by the way, it's not gonna be in time for today's show with Anna. But the bonus episode for next Wednesday, I am going to unveil my most recent and my most complex yet woodworking project. I'm very proud of it.
Oh my God.
Let's see how that goes. Wolfie Harville subscribed for 12 months too, a full year, but I just started, Wolfie says. Nope, you're ancient like us. Soon you too will be quoting Wayne's World 1 from 50 years ago. Do people watching the show even remember that? Anyway, I loved Wayne's World, man. I thought that was so funny growing up. Anyway, okay. Kenny from Philly sent in a super chat saying, "Dragon Daddy promises to pay for lunch for Sophie and the entire TDR team." Hey, you said that, I didn't say that, but that's a good idea. How about this? If they'll come back to the studio, if they're allowed to, lunch is on me, once. Anyway, okay, let's see. Oh, we have 30 seconds. Okay, Non-Human Humanist says, info, socialism comes in many forms on a spectrum. I was born in real socialism, now live in a democratic socialism. It is night and day. Well, that is obviously totally true. And to be clear, she identified as a democratic socialist. We'll see how that shakes out the difference. It is a different ideology, but still great to see more representation winning these elections. We need that boost. More after this. Okay, everyone, we're about to jump into some more news, but I did want to let you know about a couple things that are coming up. So as you know, we're in week 3, I think, of Indisputable, and it's 8-week run. This is Dr. Rashad Ritchie's new show on TYT, which you can watch every day at youtube.com/indisputable-TYT. But I know what you're thinking, when can I watch it? Well, that's super easy, right after this program. This show ends, we take a little breaky break, and then there you go with Indisputable and Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Very exciting show today, by the way. It looks like Brett is gonna be the co-host, so that's gonna be fun. He had a great show, I think it was last week with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. And in terms of guests, you get 2. You get Killer Mike, so you know that's gonna be fun. And then one of my favorite international guests to bring on, Nellifer Hedayat's gonna be on. Nellifer has joined us to talk about her podcast about human trafficking, gun trafficking, food trafficking, animal trafficking, all sorts of things like that. Now she's got a podcast delving into a whole bunch of different topics, so she's gonna be joining Dr. Rashad Ritchie as well. So definitely stay tuned. And by the way, happening tomorrow is our tier 3 YouTube members Q&A. If you're a tier 3 member on YouTube, we do this once a month. We hang out, we talk, sometimes about politics, sometimes not about politics. It's a lot of fun. So if you'd like to upgrade your membership or become a tier 3 member, that will be available tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time. And all of the past ones we've done are up on the channel for tier 3 members as well.
Yeah.
Now that said, why don't we jump back in the news?
Let's do it.
Okay. New leaks provided to Ken Klippenstein and now to us via The Intercept, a Navy counterterrorism training document obtained exclusively by The Intercept has an interesting view on socialism and how it compares to other ideologies. So in this training document, they have a section that's subtitled Study Questions, and it includes the following question. Anarchists, socialists, and neo-Nazis represent which terrorist ideological category? The correct answer is political terrorists. A military source briefed on the training told me. So, like they ask you this open question, hey, so you got neo-Nazis, and then you have, I don't know, like the new mayor of Buffalo. What's the link? They're both political terrorists, according to a counterterrorism training document. So this is the Introduction to Terrorism and Terrorist Operations document. It's part of a longer training manual recently disseminated by the Naval Education Training and Command's Navy Tactical Training Center in conjunction with the Center for Security Forces. The training is designed for masters at arms, the Navy's internal police. And an anonymous military official said to Ken, it's just ineffective training because whoever is directing the Navy anti-terror curriculum would rather vilify the left than actually protect anything, despite the fact that the most prominent threat is domestic right-wing terror. Or is it? Perhaps the DSA types. I mean, after all, like the right-wingers will like set bombs. The DSA members sometimes call each other comrades. So you decide. JR, what do you think?
Yeah, okay. So the only thing I disagree with on that last from this anonymous military official is that this is an ineffective training. It's very effective. It's 100% effective. It's doing exactly what the people who've proposed it to do, is to brainwash the people that are involved with this internal police within the Navy to think a certain way. So we talked about training for police officers just in civilian interactions. And of course it goes through the military training. There's plenty of people in the military that have skewed views of what life is. Just because they're in these positions of power and enforcement doesn't mean that they have everything figured out and right. And in fact, it also doesn't mean that they're purposely trying to teach them something that makes any sense. It's why there's all this push against the way universities and colleges teach folks and this inclusive approach to how we interact with each other. Oh, these socialists, these libs, these progressives. I can't believe they're brainwashing our children as soon as they leave the house to tell them that everyone is not evil and against them because their life is different than theirs. It's so weird. But at the same time, the reason that they think that all these libs are brainwashing your children is because they're brainwashing your children. They're brainwashing your teenagers, and they're also brainwashing your young adults that are in the Navy that are in positions of power. They need a certain kind of a militaristic, anti-progressive type of approach for some reason. I'm not sure if it devalues your fighting force. It keeps you from doing things in a more heinous way. I'm not sure what they're looking to build in folks to have them come with this skewed version of reality.
Yeah, it's just complete nonsense. Look, I don't know if it's the sort of thing that's designed subconsciously to get people to be so biased, or if it's a result of the people who write this growing up in a system that has trained them to be super suspicious of these types, or if it's both, if it's the causality works in both directions, but it's nonsense and we need to fight back against it. That's why the title of this stream is why you should be excited for socialism. That's why we think it's so awesome when openly democratic socialists are winning elections. It is utter nonsense to claim that such a broad political ideology and identification is the same exact thing as neo-Nazis. I'm sure, but by the way, many anarchists would also have an issue with being lumped into that. But yeah, like, no, if you're a socialist, you're a terrorist. So, like if you're a terrorist out there watching the show, raise your hand. I think there's a few of you. Anyway, as that military official pointed out, Ken will also point out in his article on The Intercept, which you should definitely take a look at, that, look, you can train the masters at arms in this nonsense, but the military does actually know whether they want to publicly acknowledge what the real threat is. Both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have identified white supremacists as the deadliest terror threat to the US. Back in October 2020, the Department of Homeland Security issued its first annual Homeland Threat Assessment report, stating that white supremacists were exceptionally lethal and will remain the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland. So all of that is true. It's based off of the actual threats, the actual plots that they've uncovered. How much of that will actually filter out to regular people? Will they understand the nature of this threat? Will the media accept it? Because something about the socialists being naturally inclined to be political terrorists, there's not a lot of mainstream media that's gonna have a huge automatic knee-jerk opposition to that. So that's sort of my fear, JR.
Yeah, whenever facts are put forward like that about the actual threat and much of the domestic terrorism that we see, who it comes from, and then nothing is done about it, blatantly and openly. You saw during Trump's his one term, we saw how much he was ignoring it. In fact, directly in the face of it happening in front of him was downplaying it. Every time someone would ask him about those rare occasions when they asked him, so your support base is based on white supremacists, and also these studies show that white supremacists are the leading terror group. Are you looking to ramp that down a bit? No, because we saw even what happened after he lost the election, he ramped it up further. That's his power base. That's where he gets his intimidation factors from. So whenever any kind of uprisings or violence breaks out that he also advocated for, even during his primary time, that's what he's looking for. So Republicans, conservatives always talk about law and order and deterrence. They know what deterrence is. They always talk about it. Punish the people that you see doing the bad things, and maybe you'll stop more from coming out, inspiring more and more of it. So when you don't do anything about it, it grows. They know that, and we see it growing, but they ignore it. They just brush that part aside. And whenever you see a one particular group that's obviously the problem getting brushed aside by this other very powerful political party, I think it's pretty obvious that that's who they want to keep in power.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And if you are out there in a position where you have access to documents like this and want a safe and secure place to air them, head over to The Intercept. Ken Klippenstein's contact information is available in the article that we're referencing here. So go take a look at that. He's done a number of great pieces like this. Great work by Ken. Okay, that said, let's move on to our next topic, switching it up just a little bit. The recent suite of Supreme Court decisions continues, this time siding with a cheerleader in a free speech case after she was punished by her school for things that she said very much not at her school. So they ruled that a Pennsylvania school district had violated her First Amendment rights by punishing her for a vulgar social media message sent away from school grounds. The vote was 8-1 with Justice Clarence Thomas dissenting. That's fun. The case concerned a cheerleader named Brandy Levy. a Pennsylvania high school student who had expressed her dismay over not making the varsity cheerleading squad by sending a colorful Snapchat message to about 250 people. So, colorful. How colorful? What colors? Well, let's let you know a little bit about that. She sent the message on a Saturday from the Cocoa Hut, a convenience store popular with teenagers, and sounds like what I would name the shed in my backyard. It includes an image of Miss Levy and a friend with their middle fingers raised, along with a string of words expressing the same sentiment. Using a swear word 4 times, Miss Levy objected to school, softball, cheer, and everything. And so the onus is on you to sort of put together how that works, but I think I've got it. How are you doing? Anyway, it was on Snapchat. They're designed to disappear, they're ephemeral. You throw them out there and then they're gone. But another student took a screenshot and showed it to her mother or coach. And isn't that student just the best kind of person? You're awesome, you're so fun. Anyway, the school suspended Miss Levy from cheerleading for a year, saying the punishment was needed to avoid for a year was to avoid chaos and maintain a team-like environment. You know, where you don't swear but you snitch. Anyway, so she decided, oh no, I'm taking you to court, and she ended up winning. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and so now the precedent is, being set for the degree to which maybe schools can try to silence students in this level, high school students, when they're not even there. I mean, I'm sure she walked through the hallways with middle fingers up, hands in the air, and putting in everybody's face, saying "F this school, F the softball team, F cheer, F everything." I'm sure they could do something about that because you're walking through school disrupting everything. But anybody who decides to watch this girl's Snapchat and see what she has to say, that's up to you, bro. Yeah. You don't have to follow. It's one of those things like you're gonna follow someone and see the things that they said and get offended by it and move on. Especially if it's not dealing directly with you. I wonder what the background is. There's some kind of a rivalry between the two of them. This person who outed her for being there, and then the school somehow thinking. Also, what damage does this do to the school?
I mean, it creates chaos.
I mean, so suddenly,
but I agree.
If my 16-year-old kid is gonna join the cheer team the next year, they go, oh, but there was that one girl last year who said F cheer. Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore.
I don't support it anymore.
I'm gonna transfer.
Yeah, I look. We've known for a very long time that these sort of rivalries run deep in the cheerleading world. I watched a series of documentaries called "Bring It On" growing up, and clearly those are still as true today as they were when they were released. But that said, this is fairly amazing that she was successful in this. And by the way, it's all context dependent. Like me joking about the person being a snitch. Look, if she said, F cheer, I'm gonna blow this building up. Well, then yeah, you can screenshot it and you can send it to someone. And in that case, the Supreme Court would be totally fine with that being given to the police and potentially being suspended and a bunch of stuff like that. But that isn't what was happening here. It was just her airing her anger. And related to that, I would say if you are Brandy Levy, this is like a prime time to release a t-shirt. You know how they have those ones with like the word and, just do one that has school, softball, cheer, and everything with a middle finger emoji after each one. You'll make like thousands of dollars. You should definitely do that.
Way more than that.
Probably. But there are 1 or 2 more wrinkles here. One wrinkle was brought to my attention by Jordan Ewell, a friend of the show, who tweeted out this little bit from one of the bits of reporting on the Supreme Court decision, pointing out that the Biden administration sided with the school district.
Of course they did.
Because of course, the Biden administration and the Biden DOJ and Merrick Garland are they're basically like those like Substack contrarians. It's like you just have to have the worst takes on literally everything. So yeah, of course they sided with the snitch. It was probably Merrick Garland who screenshotted the Snapchat in the first place. Don't let him friend you. He's not a good guy.
Do you know who else they sided with, John?
What's that?
In the Supreme Court decision, it was 8-1. Do you know who the one was?
Was Clarence Thomas.
The one was Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas said a school can regulate speech when it occurs off campus, so long as the approximate tendency to harm the school, its faculty or students or its programs. It has approximate tendency to harm the school, its faculty or students or its programs. I'm not sure who it harmed in any of those, all those examples, which one of them got harmed. He went on to talk about how we're trying to catch up with this pace of technology, because she said it on her social media page. And although it wasn't happening in the school, many people associated with the school had the opportunity to see it, and therefore it affects the school. And we need to keep up with this technology thing.
Yeah.
There's a small part about that I agree. You have to start considering the technology part and understand that you can't control people's minds, their thought processes, and what they write away from school just because it's on social media. No, you can't control people 24 hours a day. No, you can't control a 14-year-old 24 hours a day. When she goes home, she can do what the hell she wants, as long as her parents are allowing her to do these things. So he can address the whole thing about keeping up with tech, but it sounds like he wants to keep up with tech to make sure we can stretch these limitations from people's speech, as long as we don't like them, to these type of tech things. Not, tech is getting so far, we have to understand that we can't go out and police people's thoughts. He's on the wrong side of that thought of it. He's on the right thought, but the wrong side of it.
Well, I would say that Clarence Thomas is on the side of cancel culture because he wants this cheerleader to get canceled over throwing up a middle finger. Unfortunately for him, as many people are pointing out in the chat, this is a cheerocracy, not a cheertatorship. So deal with that. The final point, just a historical footnote: Supreme Court has occasionally weighed in on free speech issues when it comes to students, generally in favor of limiting them. The last major decision on students' free speech was back in 2007 when the court sided with a principal who had suspended a student for displaying a banner that said "Bong hits for Jesus." Let the bong hits for Jesus guy go. Seriously, who's he hurting? He can't hurt anyone. He's doing too many bong hits for Jesus. It's for Jesus that he's doing it. You can't even do it for Jesus. Anyway, maybe it was the reference to religion in schools. I don't know.
He got in trouble for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still in solitary confinement. Anyway, okay, so with that, I'm joking about the solitary confinement. I think he's fine. Now, with that said, we are gonna take our second break. When we come back, IKEA wanted to memorialize and give some recognition to Juneteenth, and it went pretty much how you'd expect after this. Can I just say, I love this rundown. I love everything about this rundown. This is ridiculous, but I love it. Anyway, thank you everybody. Welcome back. You know what we've got for you? We've got a poem by Franklin Sharpslicer. As always, very happy to have you here, Franklin. Franklin says, so Margarine thinks we're commie rats, as do the other Republican fat cats. Let's see how she does in Republican primaries once she's turned. Have feelings she'll turn lizard when she's spurned. She's sheep dip. What sheep dip is, but the rest of that was very funny. By the way, Dave Leventhal revealed on our show yesterday, Marjorie Greene, I don't know, a lot of stock purchases of companies that acknowledge BLM and climate change and stuff like that. Like maybe she's a grifter. I don't know. Anyway, Doomslayer Dragon says, heck yes, this is how we destigmatize socialism. Be loud and proud about being one and what it means. 100%. Like it's like Tyrion once said, take up their insult as your armor and it can never be used against you. So I think that is totally true. Being called a socialist only hurts if you let it, like if you play into that narrative. So anyway, non-human humanist goes on to say, socialism equals more just distribution of goods. Socialism will help everyone to have a better life, like Trump supporter, Karens and Kens, even the trolls. Yeah, it's gonna help out the Trump supporters, and some of them will eventually realize it. By the way, Yeetwood Mac in the Twitch comment says, bong hits for Kirsten Dunst. There's too much Bring It On in the show, but I am gonna have to watch that again because there was a time. Here's a future trivia question for you. Back when I was in high school, my friend had gotten illegal cable or whatever. Like so he could literally get the pay-per-views for free. And there was like a 3-month period where the pay-per-view channel that we had access to for free was just playing Bring It On over and over. We watched it 50 times. I don't know. I watched that movie. I've watched Bring It On more than all other movies combined, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I was a kind of a fan of Lives of Dushku growing up. Anyway, Mama Bear Dragon says, trying to find MIL on disability, a place to live, impossible to find low income housing. We need reform, considering running when kids are older. That's awesome. See, look at that. Experiencing one of the massive pervasive inequities in our system and potentially running. Perhaps inspired by candidates like the ones we're talking about. Anyway, thank you, Mama Bear Dragon. That's awesome. We've got a minute 20. Okay, Ray Turner says, Wait, hold on 1 second. In the comments, Wolfplate says, I wish sometimes the Twitch crowd could meet the YouTube crowd. We'd be good buds. I think that you would. I occasionally see people cross over. Like I'll occasionally see like Obi Mom in the YouTube chat, or someone mentioned that they were in the Twitch chat for the first time.
Or it could be a huge conflict.
Oh God, it'd be like Endgame. No, I think it would be fine. Octo Squiddies in the Twitch chat says, wow, Game said John, way to snitch on your buddy live. I think he's gonna be okay. It was like 3 decades ago. Thank you. Ray Turner says, I'm just happy that you read the super chats, guys. I'm here most days, so I'll wait. Also, all dogs are good dogs. Some are just bad owners. Ray Turner is who we were talking about in the last break about being gone to feed his dog. Oh God, we're running out of time. Lazy Peon, the Stone Eagle Dragon says, don't threaten me with better pay and healthcare, with a big super chat. 100% Stone Eagle Dragon, thank you. Arlen says, saw a horrible commercial here in AZ defending cinema for the filibuster stance and attacking Mark Kelly for not saying anything about it. They were both Dems and not running against each other. It was so weird. Yeah, not 100% weird. I think you and I both get how you get an ad like that, but it does seem initially a little bit weird. Anyway, we've got so much more to get to, so we'll be back in just a few. Okay, JR, how would you like some more news?
Well, only if we're gonna make sure we don't skip the D block. That's all I care about.
Oh no, we're about to go to the D block literally right now. We have 2 dog-related stories. I almost made the D block the dog block, but that'll be happening a little bit later on. So definitely stay tuned for that. It'll be in our last third. For now, let's turn to this bit of news. An IKEA in Atlanta wanted to recognize Juneteenth. And so they decided to put together a menu to commemorate foods that they thought would accomplish that. What they did was put together a menu, which the store told employees was intended to honor the perseverance of Black Americans, which included dishes like fried chicken, watermelon, and mac and cheese. And JR, I feel like we've done this story 9 times. I don't know why this is always the go-to for schools that want to show that they know what's going on. Employees said 33 people called out from work as a response to that menu. It sparked an internal email response from a store manager who said, I truly apologize if the menu came off as subjective. I think that means offensive. It was created with the best of intentions by a few of our coworkers who believed they were representing their culture and traditions with these foods of celebration. One employee told The Hill, you cannot say serving watermelon on Juneteenth is a soul food menu when you don't even know the history. They used to feed slaves watermelon during the slave time. Also says none of the coworkers who sat down to create the menu, nobody was Black.
Crazy, I thought they just said that it was believed they were representing their culture and tradition with these foods of celebration. So if none of them were Black, which culture and tradition and theirs are we talking about? I don't know. Maybe they misspoke when they said it was theirs and they know what they're talking about and doing. This is one of those things where it's happening when it's Pride Month as well, right? And then we just got Juneteenth recognized as a federal holiday. Yeah. And now companies, corporations, people in general just want to make themselves look better by saying, I'm on board too. I got a rainbow flag. Oh, as you guys see, I wore red, orange, and yellow all at the same time. It's part of it, but it's okay. Yeah. It doesn't endear you to anyone else because your menu, even if it was accurate and you have some actual food that you see as Black culture, right? Even if that was accurate and no one had an issue with it, is that gonna increase sales? What are you doing this for? What's the idea here?
I'm assuming there was some, like if you dig into that, there's some kernel of wanting to do a good thing. But
this is the thing. Okay, here's the other part of it. And I feel like I said this ironically on the Juneteenth half hour that I had there. What's the point of diversity? We're just gonna have diversity for the sake of diversity. So when politicians and everybody make sure they have a diverse group around them, they have a diverse staff, that they have like a chief of staff that maybe isn't from the same background that they're from, and maybe they have something that has a robust, all-inclusive nature to the way that they'll make decisions. It's so that you can be represented by people who know what the hell they're talking about and know where they're coming from, so that your message to the rest of the folks who came from those communities can connect to them. So why would you assume that people that aren't from the community can make the decisions about that community? And if you do have diversity there, make sure the people that you have that are there know what the hell they're talking about. It's crazy. Yeah. You don't just throw people there for the sake of throwing them in there. You have black employees. Why weren't they a part of this? You know what? They'd have told you this before John on TDR was talking about it. They'd have said, hey, you guys, you might want to shut this dumb idea down. This is ridiculous.
And it's funny because like this came up obviously over the course of the weekend, but I saw a lot of tweets to the effect of when it was recognized as a holiday, it was like tweets like Bed Bath & Beyond, don't even think about it. Like it's like, oh God, all these corporations, like they're gonna do stuff that is gonna be so bad. IHOP is gonna become like iHodge for Juneteenth or something. No, you don't. Anyway,
yeah, they're gonna have some restaurants are gonna have like a reparations sale. All black folks come in and it's like stuff like that they think people are gonna clamor for. Hey, relax, take a deep breath and listen. Yeah. The easiest way is to listen because you still lack a degree of respect for the people that you say you're celebrating. Yeah. It's just internal. You don't have enough respect for them to actually talk to them. It's the simplest form of learning. Talk. Instead, you go, I know it all. I still know it. Let me tell them what they're about.
Yeah. Now, I think you're right. You got to talk to learn. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not enough because they heard the concerns, they revised the menu, and now it includes collard greens, cornbread, and mashed potatoes. Which I think they might have had mashed potatoes before, honestly. I'm not sure. Come on, IKEA, man, I love you. It's terrible.
Just let it go. Just let it forget about it. Just apologize and move on and hope that enough people don't see it. Because
be proud of your meatballs.
Yeah, those are good.
Lingonberry jam.
Those are good.
$1 hot dogs.
Because by the way, cornbread and mashed potatoes, I mean, that's on everybody's plate on Thanksgiving.
That's true. That's true, yeah. Okay, let's move on to something arguably even worse. Critical race theory is everywhere in right-wing media. Your kids are being propagandized to, they're being taught that they're bad. Now that is not true, of course, but it's also not enough for the right to just say that they're teaching your kid to hate the color of his skin. They gotta go further. The one who goes the furthest will make the most money, get the most clout. And I think in this case, we're gonna have to give it to Michael Savage, who went on Newsmax to say this about critical race theory.
My blood's boiling listening to Chuck Todd. I wanted to reach through the screen and smack him in the face. Does he have children? Can you imagine having a little child who goes to school and is told that he's no good, his race is no good, he's evil, his parents are evil, his nation is evil? These are the same SOBs who lectured us for 20 years about don't be a bully, tolerate everything. And now they're beating up white children in schoolrooms. I've studied history. I know where this starts. I know where it ends. It started in the same kind of thing started in Germany. The Jews were no good. The Jews did this. The Jews did that. The next thing you knew, they were being excluded from swimming pools. They didn't put them in concentration camps overnight. I studied this intimately. I am Jewish. I know how this starts. Attacks on white people is exactly what was done to the Jews in Germany in the 30s. Don't fall for this garbage. This is the road to the death camps. Stand up to these bastards and sue them.
Has he studied history? So he studied history.
No, intimately, JR.
He intimately studied history enough to know that this leads to, it does go straight to concentration camps. It goes to people being excluded from pools. What country were people excluded from pools and which people were those? Oh, it goes on to death and marching you into death. What country systematically killed and used a certain kind of person for their economic gain and then threw them off to the side and treated them like animals? Which country did that? To which kind of people? Oh, you mean those people that have been oppressed, enslaved, and murdered throughout the entire history of the country? Those people are the ones that are in power. Those are the ones that are coming after your lily white children that are innocently walking through the world, knowing everything about everyone's culture and background and history. Because they learn about it, right? Are they learning about it? Did they? The people that are 30 and 40 years old now can tell you that they didn't learn about it, and that many of their outward views about others was limited, and they shaped it around a disparity in what they think these people are. But instead, it's those people that are now being persecuted. They're telling your children you're headed into some kind of concentration camp to get murdered off, because he studies history really well. We ignore every atrocity that we've done to black folks here. And now that people are saying, hey, let's pay attention to that and make sure we don't continue to do that. In fact, fix all of the broken systems that we've had in this country doing that. Now that's an attack on you. Anytime you think that your entire your network of your life and your family and your history is threatened because you're gonna learn about what you've done to other people, you're disparaging your own background. You're saying that your worth is with the type of people that enslave others, that oppress others, that murder and systematically kill them. That's what you said your history is. You're teaching your lily white children that they're bad people by not accepting that they don't have to be like that they don't have to continue the same systems that were horrifically put in place here, specifically to target a certain kind of person. You're saying that to your kids, no one else. Someone's trying to teach your kids to be better, and you're saying, no, I want them to still be horrible. That's what you're doing.
And that there's something they shouldn't know about. There's something about them they should run from and hide from, as if it's gonna work. As if you block the teaching of critical race theory in schools, so the kid's never gonna be exposed to any of this. He's just not gonna be prepared for it. He's not gonna understand it. He's not gonna get the context of it. Yeah, and it teaches your kid to be weak, to not have the strength to understand history and to try to make the world a better place than it regrettably, tragically was for every minute of world history leading up until right now. Like, to teach them to be ignorant and afraid and to always see themselves as a victim. That's what you're teaching your kids to do.
You know what it sets up to? It sets up this direct, violent confrontation. It's either we learn about something or they're coming to kill us. And if they're coming to kill us, that means we gotta kill first. That's just the American way, right? You have to defend yourself from the attackers. That's what we've always done. That's what we've unleashed any war we've been a part of, is they're coming to get us before they've come to get us. So now these people are coming to get us because of what we've done to them.
Yeah.
And we should be afraid. It's time to fight. It's setting up a fight.
And it's so revealing. They're gonna do to us what we did to them, which isn't even true. It's just so revealing of what this person really thinks about race. And I feel like a little bit like Joe Bluth. Like, you think that they're teaching people to like hate white kids, but I'm white. I'm gonna have kids, and those kids are gonna be somewhat white. You think I'm gonna teach them to hate that? Why would I do that? If you're conservative watching this, why would any of this happen the way they're saying? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're clearly hiding something. They're clearly manipulating you. It is not the roads to the death camps. It's the roads to an accurate understanding of our history. That's not as sexy. That's not as exciting necessarily, but it might be more productive. And I don't think we need to run away from that. We don't need to run away from our history or the learning of it. Anyway, we're unfortunately out of time for our linear audience. Thank you so much for watching us. We do have more on YouTube and Twitch though, so if you're watching those platforms, we'll see you in just a few. Welcome back, everyone, to what remains of the Damage Report with me, Iadarola, and JR Jackson on Big News Wednesdays. Some people are saying it's a hashtag. I'm not saying it, just some people are saying Big News Wednesday is a hashtag.
You said nothing, John.
I didn't say anything. Anyway, thank you for being here, everybody. I did want to let you know about an event that's coming up soon. You can go to tyt.com/events to find out more information. But the gist is this: in Cleveland, I'm almost certain it's Cleveland this time, we're gonna be having an economic justice town hall on June 26th, nailed it. Cenk Uygur, Killer Mike are gonna be speaking with Senator Nina Turner about living wage, Medicare for all, a number of important issues. It's gonna be awesome. Go to tyt.com/events so you can find out more information about getting tickets, which are gonna cost $3. That money will be donated to Rock the Vote. That's gonna be awesome. And if you'd like to see a little bit of Killer Mike before the event, you can stay tuned later on at youtube.com/indisputable for Killer Mike, who's gonna appear on Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, awesome, as well as Nelifer Hedayat. One of my favorite people is gonna be on there. Oh, and Brett Ehrlich as well. So all of that should be a lot of fun. That said, JR, are you ready for dog news?
Well, I'm considering I'm not at home today. I'm totally missing Sprocket because I can't live without him.
That I have Sprocket. Well, we're gonna go over some good news. We've got a bad dog and we've got a good boy. We're gonna give you both of those today. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is a pretty horrible guy. That's been clear this year with him, signing the voter suppression bill in Texas, demonizing trans youth, pretending earlier this year that windmills were the cause of the energy grid problems. But now he's gone too far because he's coming for your dogs. He vetoed a bill on Friday that would have made unlawful restraint of a dog a criminal offense, sending animal rights activists and legislators on both sides of the aisle into a fray and spurring the hashtag Abbott hates dogs. And this was quite a bit discussed online. Julian Castro tweeted, "I have to hand it to the governor. Anti-voting rights, pro-animal cruelty is a bold re-election measure." And it's one that he thinks he can win on in Texas. And honestly, I'm not sure that he's really wrong. So what is this bill that he vetoed? Well, State Senate Bill 474, dubbed the Safe Outdoor Dogs Act, aimed to ban the use of heavy chains to keep dogs tethered. The bill had bipartisan support in the legislature, passing the House 83-32 and the Senate 28-3.
Wow.
In Texas, they're coming together to protect your dogs. In his veto, Abbott said that state statutes already existed to protect dogs from animal cruelty, and the penalties proposed in the bill of $500 to $2,000 and jail time of up to 180 days were excessive. The bill said that dog owners could have dogs outside, but could not restrain them with short lines and chains or anything that could cause injury and pain to the dog. JR, would you like to side with Governor Greg Abbott?
No, because this is the thing, it's crazy. So I'm really trying to find the motivation behind it, because a lot of times you can just follow the money. Maybe there's some kind of organization. I'm not sure which organization is advocating the cruelty towards dogs that paid him for his campaign. Yeah. So and again, as we saw the way it passed in the first place, how overwhelming it is. This is not. We talked earlier about unifying messages. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. It's kind of hard to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm all for this bill that allows cruelty towards dogs because that helps my life in some kind of way. I'm just trying to find what helps you out. Yeah, sure. I grew up in the country in St. Louis in the 80s and 90s, and there was dogs tied up and stuff, but people weren't advocating for dogs like they are now, or people weren't considering dogs to have this certain degree of need and care and rights that we didn't before. So that seemed normal then, We also used to think kids didn't have a certain level of pain that they would have. So a lot of times, anesthesia and stuff wasn't given to children way back in the day, right? Because they thought kids can't feel it. So we learn and we figure things out. And when you do, you kind of let go of the craziness, like, oh, this is gonna be too hard on dog owners that need to tie their dogs up. And by the way, you know what happens a lot of times, and this is just maybe an anecdotal event. But when you get the floods and hurricanes and tornadoes, whatever happens in these wild areas and people evacuate their homes, many times they leave their dogs tied up against the house to sit there and deal with the issue because they're getting out of there. And so they leave their dog tied up and he's watching the impending death come upon him.
Oh, geez.
Does that sound like something you want to support? It just seems weird to me.
I'm just so happy to have you unified with me in support of dogs. I love it. Yeah, and the fact that in Texas there was actual bipartisanship, and he attacks it, and he goes on to say, in terms of why he opposes, he says Texans love their dogs, so it's no surprise that our statutes already protect them by outlawing true animal cruelty. He says Texas is not a place for this kind of micromanaging and over criminalization. Micromanaging. So why did all those Republican state legislators in the Senate and in the House, why did they support it? Are they bought out by Big Dog, whose name is Clifford, by the way? Why were they? Are they in favor of micromanaging? I don't know what's up with Greg Abbott, because you make a great point, JR. This doesn't seem like one where there's a clear financial interest. So is it just that he's one of the many Republicans that is so broken that he can't love a dog? Is this to try to appeal to Donald Trump, a guy who seemingly hates dogs? In fact, uses dogs as the biggest insult he knows.
Sure does.
I don't know. Yeah,
okay, so the part of it, he said he's outlawing true animal cruelty. The statute's already there by outlawing true animal cruelty, which means he's insinuating this is not actual animal cruelty. We have true animal cruelty on the books. This is fake animal cruelty that about tying up dogs and make sure there's heavy chains on them and whatever length of a rope, all these details about it. And by the way, one more small thing about this. He's talking about micromanaging and over-criminalization. Just yesterday, Lakers player Alex Caruso was arrested in Texas for possession of marijuana. He had a grinder on him that had marijuana residue in it. He was arrested for that in Texas because they don't micromanage and over-criminalize in Texas.
A consensual thing you can do for yourself. Micromanaged. Yep, 100%. Also, credit to Connecticut for legalizing marijuana this week, my hometown or home state. Anyway, so that's obviously the bad dog. So let's move to the good boy. Are we ready to transition to this? Think we are? Awesome, let's do it. And now it's time for news from around the world in Meanwhile in. Meanwhile, in China, there is a Buddhist monk who, through the course of his life, has helped to fight back against the pervasive issue of stray and unhomed dogs in China. Apparently, there's like 50 million stray animals in China. He has, through the course of his career, saved 8,000 dogs. Jeez. He's a Buddhist monk, and he gives these dogs either a new life at his ancient monastery, where he has many of them, or at a shelter that he runs in a Chinese city. He's cared for 8,000, a few hundred of which, by the way, will eventually be resettled in Europe or North America. So some of them stay in China, others get sent around the world. He says, I have to rescue them because if I don't, they will die for sure. He gives vaccinations to dogs. That's so awesome. And then, I'm just gonna send out a warning to you. We're about to play a bit of video where he talks about one of his dreams for later in his life, and just take a look at this.
感觉到他们很幸福，也感觉到很值得。当然，更多的是想念他们，一直有这样一个梦想，有朝一日能闲下来，出去看看他们，有机会去看看他们，跟每一只从我手里救出去的拍照留念一下。
Okay, if you're listening on the podcast, he said that he misses them when he gives them away. Someday he hopes to be able to take a trip abroad to take pictures with all the dogs he sent away, which is like, I feel like we're related. I feel like that's my like older brother or something, because that's all I want to do is take a trip and take pictures of dogs.
I was just gonna say, I said, if there's like a split of a person that then somehow this guy ended up being was he a Buddhist monk? What is he? He's a monk in China, but John is a talk show host in America. Like they're the same person. They were split basically at birth.
Well, except he's done this good thing, and I take care of my dog, Hilo. Anyway, he began doing this back in 1994. He started treating cats hit by vehicles on the road. Back then, there weren't a lot of stray animals, but that has changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. He says he gets up at 4 a.m. each day. He doesn't get any money from the government to do this. He's borrowed from his parents and from other monks, and he gets handouts from donors. He says he has to spend about $2 million a year, and he needs 60 tons of dog food every month. That is just crazy.
He spends $2 million a year. Where's this cash coming from?
donors and stuff like that. Apparently, like people support him in that way, and hopefully after this, gets all this press, he'll get help too, because it is a big issue there. Yeah, no, look, for some people, if you don't like dogs or whatever, this might seem like a weird use of your time, but like, this is a person who has spent his life just trying to help out in a particular way, a way that matters to him. Like, just think about a world filled with more people like this Buddhist monk, just trying to make the world a better place. And maybe for you, it's not caring for dogs. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's you're a young kid in Sweden and you start protesting because of climate change or something like that. But just imagine if more of us were driven by these sorts of impulses. This is one of the main things we search for on this channel, is people like this. And sometimes they're politicians. We get excited when we believe that we found one of those people get elected to office. Sometimes it's activists, sometimes it's authors, sometimes people we bring on as guests. But I just want more people like this around the world.
$2 million a year.
Yes,
bro. If off of donations, okay, I'm dropping the JR's candies. I'm going with like some kind of dog rescue. I need to make this 2 mil.
JR's puppies.
And I'll take pictures cuddling with them and put it on JR's candies on my OnlyFans, just so you guys can have the full scope of what's going on. But 2 million a year, Jesus, this is awesome. There's no way he's not keeping some of that money. Number two, there's 8,000 strays running around in China. Man, they need like Greg Abbott to come in and like put us some leash laws, some tie up some of these dogs, make sure they're not running around everywhere.
Thank you. Anyway, so if you're watching, look forward in the future. Go to www.onlypugs.com. Anyway, meanwhile in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report. Do you know what meanwhile it is? The Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? You want to take a look at a heat map of the Arctic? Here's a fun one. Take a look at this. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I think Sauron lives in the Arctic now. Newly published satellite imagery shows the ground temperature in at least one location in Siberia topped 118 degrees Fahrenheit going into the year's longest day. It's hot Earth summer, they say on Gizmodo, which I love. It is so bad. Now, obviously, the air temperature is not quite as bad, but it's still way hotter than you would imagine Siberia would be. And it's not just Siberia. We're experiencing record-breaking temperatures in a number of different US cities. Doctors in Arizona and Nevada warned this week that people could get burned on hot asphalt, sand, and sidewalks. Temperatures in Death Valley reached 125 degrees Fahrenheit this week, and it's expected to be even hotter tomorrow. But by the way, I gave you some crazy numbers there. It's only a little bit hotter in Death Valley than it is on the land, at least in the Arctic, which I am fairly sure is not the way the Earth is supposed to work, JR.
So I think I just saw this maybe a week or two ago, because I rely on you to give me updates on the disaster that's coming to us from climate change. But there was some new ice, a huge ice shelf that broke off, like something that is by far what we weren't expecting to happen. And the thought is, oh yeah, fine. We have a drought. Maybe we have some more water coming our way. But that's not really the way we want these things to work, I don't think. And the fact that you can't walk around anymore, because we talk about these apocalyptic things that are coming, and conservatives say, oh, these libs, they come up with these fake scenarios that can never happen. Well, now in some parts of the world, you cannot walk on the ground, or you shall burn.
Get burned.
Because that's not apocalyptic, and that's not a crazy over speaking from these libs that are trying to scare you into doing something responsible with the place that you live.
That's the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to get hottest at the poles. That makes sense. You know who loves a good volcano? Penguins. Most people don't know that. Anyway, yeah, this is a disaster. Obviously, as evidence of continued climate change, it's a disaster, but as we repeatedly return to on the show, it's its own disaster in several ways too. So we often talk about the fact that the breaking up and destruction for longer periods of time of sea ice is not only evidence of climate change, but it's a contributor to climate change. Because instead of having light-colored ice, which can reflect some sunlight in the Arctic, you instead have darker seawater, which actually absorbs it, thus increasing the heating. But on land, it's a problem too. So the permafrost melting destabilizes the Siberian earth, unsettling building foundations and causing landslides. When I was in the Arctic, we talked to some people about the deaths that had happened from apartments literally coming apart because ground that was supposed to be frozen all the time instead was not. This happening also exposes the frozen carcasses of many ice age mammals, meaning paleontologists have to work fast to study the species that thrived when the planet was much colder. But when those sorts of things are exposed, that's also its own problem. As headlines like this will occasionally remind you, there are diseases hidden in ice and they are waking up. That was back in 2017. We don't have to worry about some sort of hyper-aggressive virus. We emerging from a moose carcass. Isn't that basically what's going on? Well, I don't want to give a spoiler for a popular Netflix show, but there's reason to fear this. And I think more people need to take it seriously. Anyway.
But they won't, because it needs to be connected to them directly. And they've been told that the things that connect them directly are in opposition to this. That their life actually isn't affected, or their children's lives, their grandchildren's lives. I guess people don't care once they leave here what happens later. You got to think, so what are my kids gonna experience?
Yeah, so while everything's going on and there's a lot going on, meanwhile in the rest of the world, a lot of bad stuff is happening. Now that said, we're gonna read just a couple of super chats and then we're gonna get into my favorite story, maybe in the entire time I've been at TYT.
Is it because I'm gonna go on Netflix and binge something? Is that what we're gonna talk about?
Anyway, no, hold it together. Really fast, we got the much anticipated super chat from Lena Peak saying, dropping JR's candies without consulting me? Sorry, deal with it. We will give you a free trial membership to onlypugs.com though. Anyway, thank you for watching, Lena. Lawrence Wells says 2 stories about an abbot and a monk. Did you plan this, guys? Enjoying my JR Big News Wednesdays. He's abbot only by name, not by any sort of values thing. Wayne Sugahara, hey Wayne, says, let's be clear, I love cats, but would never support this veto. I love all animals like your pups. Thank you. I also don't want cat cruelty. Sierra says diversity is to make the dominant group feel better, in my own opinion, in my experience. I think, well, especially it seems like that when corporations are getting involved. There's like a financial interest for it. Jaden Cruz, thank you for the super chat. Forbesilla says, John, I am 26, Wayne's World, party on, excellent. Party on Wayne, party on Garth, also Foxy. Forbesilla, thank you, appreciated. May Money into Build, hey May Money says, my 8th grade math teacher used to play Bring It On every Friday and not rewind it. God. Just start it from where the last class left off.
It's gotta end.
All of the movies.
It's gotta end at some point. No, that teacher. No, that teacher. See, you know how I think. That teacher liked the idea of watching high school cheerleader movies and stuff for some reason that he shouldn't have been there. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna disparage your high school teacher. He was great. He was great.
Maybe. Mandy M says, my kid is 14 and Wayne's World is her all-time favorite movie. Not sure what that says about my parenting, but we quote it word for word together. It says only good things about your parenting. Anyway, wait, Thomas Valor said, the Satanic Temple made shirts like you were talking about to help raise money to support the student. That can't be true. We have to track this down. One of the producers find this. Anyway, over on Twitch, Chitin subscribed for 10 months. Thank you for that. Love the double digits. Here comes the Tony says, wow, they are literally 2 steps away from book burning. Libraries are a form of socialism. They are, and I love libraries so much. I miss libraries. I miss bookstores too. There's no books anymore. What's going on? Mad City Miss Kitty, which is a great name, hit 9 months as a subscriber. Thank you. Holy Beer Dragon hit 8. Thank you. Mad City Miss Kitty also said, how best can we honor Juneteenth? Create a menu based on almost comically offensive yet deeply damaging stereotypes. Johnson, that kind of talk is gonna get you promoted if you're not careful. Commence rich white chortling. Yes. Bayou Belladonna says the menu should just be empty plates labeled actual policy changes. Damn. As brutal as Emma Vigeland out there. Okay, with that, why don't we get into our last story? Today I went on Twitter and found evidence that Netflix is indeed reading my letters. Here's a trailer for the upcoming series, Sexy Beasts.
I want to get married, I want to have babies. Before I'm like 26, do you have health insurance?
Welcome to the strangest blind date ever. Hey, how you doing? Damn, how you doing?
Could you fall in love with someone based on personality alone?
What is your ideal woman?
Personality for me is everything. Ass first, personality second.
Made my decision.
My sexy beast is...
Okay, I'm not going to give anything away, JR. I want your opinion first.
What could you be giving away?
My thoughts about it. What do you think about it?
I thought there was some kind of revelation, like you know one of the people on the show. Anyways,
I'm on the show. I was the beaver. I'm sorry, it's been revealed.
There's so many.
The B-roll.
Okay. I see a lot of things come across about Netflix, Hulu premieres, all this stuff on streaming services, and I never really know if I'm gonna watch it. I never know. Even when I go, I'm gonna watch it, I won't watch half the time. The things I know I'm gonna watch is when I log in my brain as soon as I read that article when it premieres. This premieres, I think July 21st, unless I did.
July 21st.
Oh my God. I skimmed the article and I was like, July 21st, log that in your brain, JR. I do not remember these things. I naturally remembered this because like you are gonna watch this. And by the way, the second season is gonna premiere later this year. I know that already too. It's going down. It's going down.
Yes. Now let's clear the air of a few things. This is not a furry show. Furries are a subculture. I'm not a part of that subculture, but they are a proud people. This is not that. They're not gonna be having sex in the costumes or whatever. This is, they say, a way to delve into whether you're actually connecting on personality. Obviously, this has something to do with The Masked Singer. Let's be clear about that. But I will state this, and I have never been more confident in a pop culture take. And I understand most people watching the show, whether they like me or not, think my pop culture takes are absolute trash. This is objectively a better concept than The Masked Singer. And I am definitely gonna watch it. And I already wanna watch it. Like in the past, there's been shows like The Floor is Lava that I said I wasn't going to, but then I did.
Yeah.
No, this is so much better. Like the singing, The Mask has nothing to do with the singing. It's totally a separate thing. But this at least is part of it, and they're doing more interesting things. They're going on dates, and then they get the reveal, and the revealing is not just, the reveal is whether my love will continue now. It's not just, oh, it's a guy who was a football player 8 years ago or something. This is so much better, JR.
Oh, so much better. It takes the elements of, I forget the dating show, and I'm for some reason from back in the day when you had the 3 bachelorettes on one side and 1 bachelor, and he asked them all questions, and then he chose
love, something like that.
It was awesome. That's a good idea. This one just allows us to have more visual and fun behind it, and it's more fun. I like revamps.
Obviously, it's not gonna be the most important show ever. It is total guilty pleasure or whatever. And maybe it'll be terrible, but it looks pretty funny. And I wanna see what happens to that beaver. Anyway, JR, thank you.
Will he find his ass?
Would that he could. Anyway, JR, thank you for joining me. Everyone go check out onlypugs.com. Great to have you here. Thank you, JR.
See you guys, have fun.
Thank you. And everyone watching at home, Indisputable is coming up with Killer Mike, Nellifer Hedayat, Brett Ehrlich is gonna be co-hosting, and Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Indisputably gonna be a good time. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Go to youtube.com/indisputable_TYT to watch. And for me, I'll be on with Anna in the second hour of the Young Turks later today, so I hope to see you there. But until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome, Indisputable. We got a big show. Good to see everyone. I am your host, Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we ended the show on a low note because I had to kick a guy off my program. He obviously was trying to get back to the plantation. I'm trying to run the other way. This individual, Jesse Lee Peterson, was on the show yesterday. We got it on YouTube. It was a heck of a thing. But here's what I want you to do. Today, I want you to sit back and relax because I got a surprise for you in the bullpen. I'm doing the bullpen a little differently today because really I just owe you one. So in the bullpen, instead of having a debate guest, I got my big homie Killer Mike with me today in the bullpen. So you don't want to miss that. We A-Town down, born and bred. So make sure you stick around for that. We got Killer Mike coming on the show. And my big homie Brett will break down some of the news of the day. My wish of Karen Wood is something serious, but this time Karen has been charged with a hate crime. Let me just give you a hint. If you are black and you drive for Amazon, you have to really be concerned about Karens of the world. Just being 100 with you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into all of that, I have on the show Nellifer Hedayat, who is host of Course Correction, and a lot of other things. We're gonna get into it. How are you?
I am very well. I am shocked and intrigued about you kicking off a person off your show, so I better be on my best behavior.
Listen, that accent, sure. No, you'll find that accent will get you on this show. You can stay on this show as long as you want to. I can hear that accent all day. Thank you for being on the program. You have a long and distinguished career. Your activism, your belief in the values of young people getting engaged, creating course corrections, as the name of your show is. Let's talk about civic engagement for younger voices. I've always believed that the political conversation should really be a younger conversation. What are your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. I've been a journalist for over 10 years. A lot of that going around the world, Doctor, and seeing for myself what Egyptians have to go through, what people in Hong Kong have to go through, what people in activists in China have to go through, what activists in my native Afghanistan, where I was born, have to go through. And journalism and activism, as you know so well, Dr. Rashad, are often in tandem, or they're doing a dance together. And in my career for over 10 years, I've had to learn how to separate them, but also how to fuse them together. Because the time where we stood in front of burning buildings, where we stood in front of war zones, where we stood in front of the hungry, where we stood in front of our planet decimated and said, look at that terrible thing happening. Gee, I wish something could happen about it. We could do something, is over. And now journalism and our audiences demand a level of authenticity, as I'm sure you know, meaning that we can't hide away. We can't no longer have something to say on the matter. So when I started working for Doha Debates 2 years ago, what got to me most was our tagline. We do not settle for a divided world. We don't take it that we will never have conversations with people that we disagree with. We do not accept that there are places that journalism can't go. And we don't accept that the status quo has to be upheld. So Course Correction, the podcast series, the second season of which is wrapped and ready to be unparceled by everyone who's watching your show right now, is a foray into the unknown. It's me reaching out to people who I fundamentally disagree with. People who, if I was meeting them online, on Twitter, we would spar. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we would have something to say to one another. Probably wouldn't be very polite. But I've learned over the 12 episodes of Course Correction, focusing on youth activism, on science, speaking to people who have taken their influencer status on Instagram and turned it into a platform where young black women from Sudan speak and are heard. And they've done it in their beautiful American way. The Course Correction podcast really is a chance for us to put down our batons and pick up our books and our phones and try to engage. So really the podcast is my attempt to be like, there's a lot of noise and a lot of us shouting at one another. What happens if we choose to listen rather than speak?
Even with your remarkable accent, I can, first of all, I cannot imagine you being not polite to somebody. But I will say this, you are what I consider to be an OG, okay? And I say that because you have been through all of these dangerous circumstances. You have been able to report some of the most horrendous things imaginable. Let me just read some of this. You've worked across the BBC, Channel 4, Netflix, Fusion, and The Guardian, covering breaking news, live events, and in-depth investigations in some of the world's most dangerous places. Now, you've done that, and you have said something quite interesting on the show. It is time out for the let's just tell you what's happening and just hope somebody does something about it. On occasion, I lecture in the mass comm department at Clark Atlanta University, which has a great journalism school, and it is an HBCU. Well, I lecture from the standpoint of advocacy or activism journalism, which, by the way, there are some gatekeepers who are totally against it. And it's refreshing to hear you talk about it with such vigor and passion and credibility. Tell us about why it's important to have a different form of journalism today.
Because we have to be responsive and reactive to our audience. There's always going to be the next war. What's happening in September when your President Biden, withdraws from my country of birth, is going to be painful. This is not going to be an easy separation. And journalism nowadays demands not only that we go there and we allow people to speak for themselves, but we do it humbly, knowing that we get to go back home, Doctor. I get to come home and sleep and put my head down on my beautiful pillow and not have to hear the bombs drop. And Doha debates and everything we're trying to do with course correction and the podcast, the reason it's so powerful, the reason it's had the amazing feedback, and I'm grateful to my audience for their feedback. The reason that it resonates with people is because we've decided to put down these ideas of us and them and the truth. There is no the truth. We know that now. There are iterations, versions, facets. And do you know how empowering it is after 10 years of, as you said, doing all that hard work, doing all that investigative journalism, going and making the traffickers, going and making Food Exposed, going and working for the BBC. Do you know how refreshing it is to have a boss and an organization like Doha Debates that are like, okay, you can change your mind. So long as you're transparent and you're honest with your audience, tell us why you now agree with this, the god of fake news, as we have in one of our episodes, or why do you take this guy who sees vaccinations as an issue? Why did you want to listen to him? Be transparent. And we touch on one of the hardest polarizing issues of all, the Israel-Palestine conflict. And our focus wasn't on who is right and who is wrong, because that matters. It wasn't on what are the facts and what aren't, because that matters also. But it was on how do we even begin to listen to one another? And it is one of the most powerful episodes, I have to say, one of the hardest bits of journalism that I've ever done, but one of the most rewarding.
You're definitely onto something. I may need to take notes from you. I have a limit on suffering fools, and so maybe I need to listen to your podcast, take some notes on that. But I'm appreciative of your voice, right? You have your style, I have my style. Other people, they have their style. But I think we need that diversity in the world of broadcast journalism, and you bring that diversity. Who do you think should gravitate to this podcast?
If you're sick of constantly hearing that there is nothing you can do about the things you care about, and if you're told that it's not you, it's the corporations, they have got to be tackled, and then someone's like, oh, pick up a phone and call your senator, or pick up a phone and call your congressperson, and you're like, this isn't doing it for me. My show's for you. I made it with you in mind, every word, with every interviewee. I chose people who I thought are never heard from. We focus on people and voices from the global south. We try not to have as many white men on the show as possible. We are gender neutral or gender balanced. So if you've lost hope, if you think that there is nothing you can do, there are little course corrections that you, me, and Dr. Rashad can make that can change things. And Course Corrections Season 1 and Season 2, which is available right now for download, is just a small step, just a small offering of the universe going, here, try this, have a little listen. Also, I'm funny, so I hope to make people laugh.
You are brilliant, and we're thankful for your voice in this arena. Tell people how they can follow you on social media.
I am at at Nelifer on Twitter, at nelifer.h on Instagram. You can follow us, Doha Debates, across all the social media platforms. And just try and find us and see if you connect with what we're trying to do.
Been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for joining me. All right, we got more Indisputable.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks.
Ooh.
Now, these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like tyt.com/join, and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitsing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny. Bye. I said it was live stream,
But I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members.
Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Cenk. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
And this is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT? Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
All right, welcome to Dr. Rashad Richey Indisputable. This is going to be quite interesting. I don't know if you can handle this much truth on any day of the week. The unrest inside of the black community and communities that support them. It's because these cops are not held accountable.
You have a family calling 911, and that family is expecting help, not expecting their loved one to be killed by the very people they pay to protect and serve them. Did you ever notice a cop that you work with call any black person the N-word or target people because they were black? Nope. But we disagree that somehow police officers are not also subject to the same systemic biases and racism as any other level of law enforcement.
It sounds like for everybody's need who wants to crucify the cops without looking at it.
No, crucify bad cops, brother. Bad cops.
We don't need the government to step into our lives mandating that we should be wearing a mask.
You think you putting on a mask, Trey, is government intrusion, but you don't think the government telling a woman what she can or cannot do with her body it isn't government intrusion.
Where does life begin?
You want to go there?
I can read it to you, brother.
You seem very well prepared. Certainly more.
Of course, why would I not be well prepared? They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform throughout this country, so I won't stop, and you won't stop either.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
Welcome back, it's Indisputable. Let's read some of these viewer comments. They are coming in. Thank you all for joining us. And remember, always, always, always Make sure you subscribe to the Indisputable TYT page on YouTube. Indisputable TYT. It's free, it's easy, it's simple. And we are there Monday through Friday. Same bad time, same bad place. Also, social media, Indisputable TYT. Comment, super chat. David Villar says, Peterson is a coward. The only correction I would make, sir, is that C should be capitalized. Thank you. Sean Leby, I think I said that right. Thank you, Sean. Wish we could have seen a debate yesterday, but you had to get rid of that fool. Great program. This is an extremely welcomed addition to the TYT lineup. Keep up the good work. I plan to. Thank you so much for that. Stan Swoosh says, I can definitely listen to her speak all day long, especially when it's all facts. That does help, doesn't it? Yeah. Conspiracy Nat says, Rashad Ritchie is a great interviewer. I'd watch him interview a houseplant. I've tried it. It's not as good as you think. All right. Okay. One more. Take one more. Well, a few more. Bayou Belladonna. These are my Twitch folks. Her activism and intelligence are the cake. The accent and outer beauty are just the frosting. Great way to put it. Mary Animal says, we need more Karens being punished for messing with the lives and livelihoods of black people, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for subscribing with Prime, True 80s Gamer. Thank you so much. iParker X3 subscribed at tier 1, 6 months. Boom, thank you. Love the Dragon family, iParker X3. We love you back. We love you back. You know what else we love? I just got word that his wife is already trolling him on Twitch, by the way. I got the big homie Brett.
It is fantastic to be here. You think it's bad on Twitch, just wait till you see it around the house. You know what I mean?
She trolls you around the house, brother.
She builds me up, she breaks me down. And I think every time she keeps me on my back foot, so I don't know what to expect.
That's why you're so balanced.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll pass that on to my psychiatrist to change the dosage. Anyways, I will say this, that every time that she does break me down and troll me, all I do is look at the subscriber count on Indisputable TYT. We were at 89.7 thousand subscribers last night. And we tweeted out from the Indisputable TYT Twitter handle, like, can we get to 90? We're at 92.3. Pretty soon we're gonna have to update that lower third that says we won 100,000 indisputables because we just have to dream bigger.
It's a beautiful thing. You all make it all possible. Everyone, it's a team effort. I appreciate all the work. Let's get into it. Medical personnel. They are supposed to be there to help you, to make sure that you are healthy, that you are on the road to recovery, that they don't impact you negatively. So there's a situation that has happened in Houston. More than 150 employees at Houston Methodist Hospital have been fired or resigned. Why? Because the hospital told them they need to get a COVID-19 shot. You know what? If I'm going to that hospital, I think that's a great idea. Yes, I want you to be vaccinated from something that could kill me and something that is easy to do. It is now making no damn sense. So these employees said, no, this was a violation of their rights, and they claimed that the vaccines were simply experimental and dangerous, and it would be wrongful termination. Now, let's go back to the law. The law is very clear in Texas about wrongful termination. Your employer cannot mandate you to do something that's criminal, okay? Your employer cannot say, do this criminal thing or we will fire you. And obviously there is no criminality here, which means there's no illegal act in the state of Texas. And at the time of the trial, the judge, and big ups to this judge, by the way, also had some words for one of these nurses who made an analogy that her threat of termination was like forced medical experimentation during the Holocaust. That was the comparison. The judge said, no, no, no. All right, USA Today conducted an interview with some of the nurses involved and other hospital staff. Here are some excerpts from that.
After the last email from Mr. Boone stating how the unvaccinated people who are not getting this COVID shot is not protecting their patients. I sent a letter to my supervisor and resigned that day. I had one more day before I was going to be suspended to work there. I could not work another day. Could not.
From the get-go, I said, if it comes down to my job or this vaccine, I will lose my job. I just don't want to inject this thing into my body that I don't even know what it's going to do.
I do not consider myself an anti-vaxxer at all. I believe in the vaccines. In, say, 4 to 5 years down the road, that it has been proven that you really should be getting these vaccines to help you. I'll be glad to take it.
I'm refusing the vaccine because I'm genuinely, worried about the reactions or even long-term effects.
Last year we were looked at as quote unquote superheroes. And now this year we're being kicked to the curb for absolutely no reason except valuing our own morals, and rights basically.
Yeah, now see, I got a problem with that, all right? Because that's a damn lie. The reason why you're being kicked to the curb, and by the way, they're not victims, but the reason why people are adversarial to this approach is because of the profession that they are in. I get it, your healthcare is your responsibility and it is your decision. I support that 100%. But when your healthcare decision can impact my mama, when your healthcare decision can cause those that I love to be adversely impacted because of your belief that this vaccine does not work, then now we have a problem. We have an issue that we need to deal with. And let me also say this, because I want to make sure I say it for the record. How in the hell can you be a nurse who has to administer the shot, has to promote that this is a shot that you need to get, has to be involved in the healthcare process of this COVID vaccination reality that we live in today, and be an anti-vaxxer? I don't understand that. You obviously don't need to be in that job anyway. I think we are freeing you from a life of torment, because if you feel that strongly about this substance, I'm sure you don't want to put this substance in the body of somebody else. Brett, am I wrong here?
This is the image that it summons to my mind, is that there's a nurse and she administers the shot to you and says, here you go, you're all vaccinated now. I'm gonna go administer my medical regimen. And then she just starts putting leeches on herself and like balancing her humors as if from the Middle Ages. I understand, it's a different level of emergency use authorization versus FDA approval. That's a fact. And the other facts are the ones that we learn about the effectiveness of the vaccinations. And when it comes to side effects, this emergency use authorization was granted, and it was a giant, COVID has been a giant problem, and it's killed hundreds of thousands of people. That said, like, I listened to everything they had to say, and they made their point. And at the end of the day, the hospital has its rules, and I'm just tempted to hear what they say and then go, okay, got it. You're not going to get the vaccine. You're not going to follow the rules of the place. And you said if it's the vaccine or your job, it's your job. Thank you for your time. Move on.
Yeah. Bottom line, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission back in December said companies can legally mandate that all employees re-entering the workplace, a new hires be vaccinated for COVID-19. The only exceptions allowed are for disabilities and religious reasons. That's it. That's the exception.
This is why Supreme Court decisions are how they are. This is the exact kind of thing that gets to the Supreme Court, where like I look at it and it's like for religious reasons you could be exempted from it. I don't understand that aspect of it. I hate the temptation to then have people are all going to say, well, if I can get out for religious reasons, why can't I just say my religion as a nurse, the church of being a nurse who doesn't want to get this vaccine exempts me from getting this vaccine? Like that, just all the different reasons that you can get exemptions are thoroughly fascinating. And I think when it comes down to it, we have to defer to the court of common sense, which is if it's a hospital that you're working at And we as science have decided that these vaccines are safe to use. It's proven safe to use. Fact-checking organizations say that as they've kind of given this excuse that they've had the disease, some of them have had COVID, and they're like, I'm now as immune as I would be. That's not necessarily true. In some cases, a vaccine provides more immunity than actually having had the disease yourself. So a lot of this afterwards, it's just thoroughly fascinating. They're making these decisions and following these policies. And I just have to say, like, yeah, you decided not to get the vaccine. I understand, but you can't keep working here the same way that a pilot can't opt out of recertification to fly a plane because they think that they're safe flying the plane with the information that they've learned so far. They don't need to use learn the latest technology on the latest planes. They can just exempt themselves. If someone said that as a pilot, I would call that insane. And when they say it as a nurse, I just have to give the same argument back.
Yeah, very well said. And let's be clear about why this is happening. This is happening because we allow politics to shape the conversation of COVID-19 instead of allowing COVID-19 to shape the politics. And typically, if you want to get to good policy, you start with the conversation honestly. And that honest dialogue, that transparent dialogue will get you to a good policy place typically. But when you allow politics to shape the narrative first, and then you produce this politicized understanding of COVID, you have what you have. I'm gonna make a prediction, and I know you'll say, hey man, you don't know that for sure. I'll put money on it. All of them voted for Donald Trump. I'll put some money on that, okay? I'll put money on that.
Listen, I have some friends who are doctors, and when this vaccination, the like news that the vaccine was getting fast tracked was first brought to the news, they said, I genuinely, these are the same people who said, like, I think marijuana is safe, except I'm not sure in clinically it's been proven whether it's safe for kids who are developing their brains, and it's linked to psychosis if you have a genetic link to psychosis in your family at that age. When I hear that kind of analysis of it, I am more inclined to believe it, right? And in this case, I don't hear that level of analysis of it. I'm understanding that these are nurses, and those same doctors who told me that they were skeptical of the speed with which this vaccine was being developed, and this was probably like 3 months into the pandemic, those doctors later got the vaccine. Like they did their research, they did their homework, and they listened to it, and they went with the best course of action given where we are with the science. And that's something that you have to do. And I understand personal choice, but I also understand like the general like mission statement of a hospital. And I respect this hospital for having this policy.
Yeah, let's shift gears. New information comes out almost every day about how the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, utilized the Department of Justice as basically his personal hit squad, his personal legal counsel, in ways that you are not supposed to use the DOJ. So new information just came out that Trump, because of an SNL skit, okay? Because of an SNL skit, he wanted to start targeting individuals that made jokes about him. He wanted to target late night talk show host that made fun of him and I guess bruised his ego. Well, Jimmy Kimmel had a blast with this new information about former President Trump. Kimmel said Donald Trump wanted to turn the Department of Justice into a goon squad following a report that claims the former president wanted to investigate the late night comedy show. It's truly incredible that shows like Saturday Night Live, not funny, no talent, this is what Trump said, can spend all of their time knocking the same person, me, over and over without so much of a mention of the other side. Trump tweeted long before he was banned from Twitter for inspiring a violent mob. He also said, like an advertisement without consequences. Same with late night shows. Should Federal Election Commission and or FCC look into this? His response from Tuesday was, and I quote, The story that I asked the DOJ to go after ratings challenge without Trump, Saturday Night Live and other late night losers is total fake news. Anytime Donald Trump says it's fake news, it's real news. 100% of the time, no exceptions. If he says it is not. If he says it is not, it is. That's the code of Donald J. Trump. Here's some of this Jimmy Kimmel.
According to two people familiar with the matter, Trump asked advisors and lawyers in early 2019 about what the Federal Communications Commission, the court systems, and most confusingly to some Trump lieutenants, the Department of Justice could do to probe or mitigate SNL, Jimmy Kimmel, and other late night comedy mischief makers. Can you imagine that? President Snowflake asked to send the authorities in to stop us from making fun of him. To those who heard it, Trump's inquiries into what federal regulations could be used to bust the likes of Kimmel and SNL was more of a nuisance than a constitutional crisis. To me, it feels more like a crisis than a nuisance. I don't know. Little did I know, I'm up here goofing on him. He's asking the feds to do who the hell knows what. And when he was told there was no legal case to be made that you can't stop comedians from making fun of you when you're president, Trump asked, can something else be done about it? Basically, Trump wanted to turn the Department of Justice into, remember on the old Batman show, the Penguin had those henchmen and the bowler hats and the tight black shirts? This is what Trump wanted, a goon squad, a bunch of tough guys to rough people up because he can't take a joke.
We can laugh about it today, but we now know that Trump put members of Congress under investigation, members of Congress's family under investigation, their staff under investigation, and they were part of the Intelligence Committee. He put these individuals under federal investigation, his Justice Department obtained a warrant to put them under surveillance. That's what actually happened. Now remember, he was the guy claiming that Obama put him under surveillance. Once again, if he says it is not. If he says it is not, it is. And how can you not make fun of a guy that gave you this many laughs?
Our army manned the airports. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. We've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal. And it's just been announced that a second brand new coal mine where they're going to take out clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're going to clean it, is opening. This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations, your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so. Brand new F-35s, fighter jets. They're stealth, you can't see them. I said, how good are these? They say, well, sir, the problem is you can't see them when you fight them. I said, that sounds like it's a big advantage. And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're gonna have to use medical doctors with, but it sounds interesting to me.
This man ran the presidency like somebody's drunk uncle. Every time he talked, it was as if he was just talking to people in his family that they understand he's touched. And he just continued to talk. Brett?
Listen, I keep thinking of what I thought of Biden before he was president and before he ran against Trump. And I would cringe every time that guy would open his mouth. This is a guy who previously had done such amazing things as, this is Biden, by the way. He said horrible stuff like, he said as a joke to a South Asian man, you cannot go into a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. He also said to a paralyzed guy, stand up, we'll clap for you at a press conference, like everything from just like horrible, like bad racist stuff that he's trying to think is like folksy to like thoroughly cringy moments. And amid the backdrop of Trump, I was like, I'm going with the Biden thing. I'd rather have that, because at least Biden like locks into, here is a policy discussion and can get through the sentences there. That's where he still has his faculties, in my opinion. But with Trump, like those moments are horrible. And that is, you pointed out exactly right. Like this guy is denying essentially that SNL should be able to make fun of him when he just gives them material to just quote back with Alec Baldwin saying the same words, and it triggers him. And the other thing I don't understand is how this dude is supposed to be revered by the right as this giant alpha male who they paint with like abs and Rambo bandanas and huge machine guns. And he freaks out, as you read before, he freaks out at people calling him a snowflake in the manner of a total snowflake. He freaks out about like who's better at doing impressions of him. He like wants to go back to the days of Daryl Hammond, and he loves. And the thing is, he says such terrible stuff about getting made fun of, when you know that at the same time he hates it because it's making fun of him, he loves the attention, and that's what he misses probably more than being president.
Yeah, and these ideas that we are seeing now, things that are being exposed, these ideas would have become law. These ideas would have been implemented into executive strategy, okay, if he was reelected. And it should sober us to the reality that democracy is actually very fragile, okay? And it's so fragile, we're still fighting for our democracy. They have figured out a new way to do it. So instead of winning votes, they're now saying who can and cannot vote. They, instead of saying, let's count all the votes, they're saying, no, let's pick the vote counter, because votes are important, but who counts the vote is important too. And they are now trying to get people in key positions who count these ballots and who make these rules and passing state laws that can overturn an actual election. That is their new strategy moving forward. We got more on the other side. Indisputable.
I'm old enough that I remember when Captain Crunch put the berries in it.
Yay, crunch berries!
And I was like, ooh, the fake berries.
Remember?
We're gonna try that.
We did a story back in the day about how a woman sued, I don't know, General Mills.
She'd been eating it for 4 years, believing that it was actual berries.
Yeah, she's like, these aren't real berries at all. I'm like, I got news for you, Captain Crunch isn't really a captain or a person. Joining me now, legendary whistleblower and American hero, Edward Snowden. First question is, hey, where are you?
I'm in my apartment in Moscow.
All of a sudden, in the studio, Jim Gaffigan, everybody.
Mental illness is, completely undiagnosed in our society.
It's not about a particular administration. It's about a broken system of power, and through that, really, the instrumentalization of a system of not justice, but injustice.
People understand whether they claim to deny climate change or not. Our collective house is in crisis. We're also dealing with the legacy of 40 years made people's lives more precarious.
Sometimes you gotta force people into their humanity. Sometimes you have to shake people into empathy.
Senator Elizabeth Warren joins us in the studio.
Healthcare is a basic human right, and we are fighting for basic human rights.
In order to actually achieve that vision of everyone having access to the same resources and getting to determine the outcome of their life, we have a lot of work to do, and it needs to start right now.
Here's something you may not know. When you deposit your money in a big bank, it doesn't just sit, safe and secure, in a vault. Instead, your money could end up building oil pipelines, mining for coal, or drilling in the Arctic. So if you're concerned about the planet, give your money something good to do. Make the move to green with Aspiration's fossil fuel-free account and join the thousands each week who are switching to save their dollars and save the planet at the same time.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Iadarola. This is gonna be a big one.
What Donald Trump has done as president has cut taxes for the wealthy and made life better for rich people. But he's made life worse for poor people.
We're making America great again by throwing more money at the military to destroy other countries, because that makes us great instead of investing it in ourselves.
That it's Donald Trump and it's Stephen Miller The choosing is based on wanting to create cruel and inhumane conditions to scare other people away from ever coming to the United States.
The opportunity to make money off of tragedy is the American way.
There is only one place to put garbage people: in the trash.
We've never had so much access to so much information with so little idea of what the hell is going on.
What does enforcing our borders have to do with traumatizing children? Absolutely nothing.
I think a sane person could say the current situation we have right now is radical. But what we're doing is literally making the world more like hell. That's a warning sign.
ShopTYT.com now has books. One of them is Ryan Grimm's book, We've Got People. That's a saying that AOC said, they've got money, we've got people. It's the best tracing of the AOC victory I have seen anywhere. It's the most accurate, and it's got great details. The book actually goes all the way back to Jesse Jackson and how he's the original Bernie Sanders. If you want to know how we're going to win going forward, those lessons are super important, and they're in Ryan's book. So check it out right now at ShopTYT.com.
We found the perfect person to lead the army, Allison Hartson.
The establishment media works hand in glove with our corporate legislators, and our corporate legislators work hand in glove with the corporation. And we're going to make it so that it's a decentralized force throughout the country, so that we can quickly identify stories, quickly identify troll farms, and go in and neutralize the enemy, and then start building responsible media throughout the country and on every platform available.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Don't forget, I got a treat for you in the bullpen because of that disaster of a bullpen yesterday. I have Killer Mike in the bullpen with me. Obviously, we're not debating. I agree with Killer Mike. Killer Mike agrees with me on about 90% of stuff, but it's going to be a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. And if you are watching me on TDR, make sure you jump over, join me now on Indisputable TYT on YouTube, Indisputable TYT. Follow us on all social media, Indisputable TYT. I'm going to read some of these comments. Okay, TYT member Lindsay Robb says, healthcare workers should get vaxxed. It's in the contract you sign. Yeah. Skeptic 313. They can find another line of work, like work from home. Yeah. Jonathan, you forgot the one where Trump wanted to drop a nuclear bomb into a hurricane. I did forget about that one. Or what about the time when he decided to draw with a Sharpie where the hurricane was actually going to hit because he lied or misspoke that turned into a lie? Remember the Sharpie thing, Weather Channel? Yeah. Super chat, YouTube, JR Alfred, bring back Jesse, LOL, love the show. I love you back, JR, but hell to the no, okay? Okay. So this one, okay, kind of critical. Omega Shinron Dragon says, the good doctor clearly, I think you meant lost to a guy who went only a minute without insulting somebody. No one at JLP sounds drunk all day. You're better than me, sir. John Flynn says, I love this new channel. Thank you for making content that makes our community stronger. Very welcome, thank you for watching. Yarn Power, those nurses who refused a COVID vaccine are not educated enough to have a job in healthcare. How can they have taken care of COVID patients, seen death, seen serious complications, but be anti-vax? Great question. They're in the wrong profession. That's all. They are in the wrong line of work, okay? We got more. Keisha Parier says, I too was fearful about getting the vaccine because I don't fully trust doctors, healthcare system to do what's in my best interest. As a black woman, I still took the vaccine. And many of us in the community felt that way when this came out. Many, including myself. Twitch, Trey Fields 2 says, good, let them leave. Now you can replace them with people that know better. Good, yeah. Dragon Penny, these are medical professionals, question mark. Where the hell did they go to school? It's not their education, it's their re-education. Trump University, that's where they went to school. Okay. Let me just give you the truth. Keep it all the way 100. Nancy Pelosi is playing games. She's playing games. You see, we need an investigation into January 6th that's more transparent than what the DOJ will give us. The DOJ will keep giving us a video here or there. They may let you know about some of the prosecution. Some of that stuff will hit the media. We need a full, transparent congressional investigation. Well, obviously, Republicans are not going to play ball. You don't get more bipartisan than being the Democratic Party in charge and saying to the Republican Party, but we're going to split this 50-50. You don't get more bipartisan than that. If their answer is no to that arrangement, they are not willing to operate in good faith about any investigation, a bipartisan investigation whatsoever. But Nancy Pelosi has this ability. She has this authority to actually appoint a select committee and do an investigation without the assistance of the other side of the political aisle. It needs to be done. So according to many reports, including CNN and others, they reported Nancy Pelosi is going forward with this select committee, and this committee will investigate January 6th. Well, Nancy Pelosi initially said she wanted a bipartisan way forward. Why? We didn't send you there to be bipartisan for the sake of bipartisanship. We did not send you there to be beholding to your colleagues in the Congress. We sent you there to represent us. We sent you there to look out for Americans. We sent you there to look out for us, not for them. We don't care about their feelings. They did not elect you. We did. So the report comes out, and then all of a sudden, she says, oh, no, I never said that. I just said my options are open. So CNN reported on the updated story and said, hey, now she's saying she didn't really say that at this committee meeting, but we still stand by our original reporting. I like how CNN put that in there, okay? Here's some of what Nancy Pelosi said.
This is why we have to have the investigation of this, similar to 9/11, but in a whole new era of communication and the rest as we have. So we will have, whether it's a select committee, I still hope for a bipartisan, nonpartisan commission, but if the Republicans won't go for that, then we'll go for a select committee to determine the truth of what happened that day. And the truth means how was it, how did it start? What are the causes of it in terms of the attitude of the American people? But then more particularly, how was it financed? Who started all of this? The public has a right to know.
Let me tell you one thing I respect about the Republican Party. They didn't play these games. Remember Benghazi? Oh, they didn't give a damn that it was Hillary Clinton. They didn't give a damn that she was the former first lady. They didn't care that she was the Secretary of State, and they didn't care about bipartisan support. They investigated this woman, 7 different investigations, over 30 committee hearings about this one incident. And by the way, I think Benghazi was a horrible thing that could have been avoided, okay? We spent $7 million plus a bunch of investigations into it, and now you're telling me that you want bipartisan help with the Republicans? You want them to operate in good faith? Come on, Nancy. Come on, Madam Speaker, where you at? Brett?
That statement should have been Nancy Pelosi's zinger. Here is our plan going forward, but she can't communicate. That's what's so frustrating, is the Democrats have like 1 to 5 total communicators in their party. They are like, I would even put Eric Swalwell above Nancy Pelosi in their ability to drive home a point. That's one thing. Is that moment she's there? I think that was April Ryan just like standing there going like, what? Are you finished yet? And that's exactly it. And that really sums up Nancy Pelosi's entire approach to politicking in a nutshell. It's this big, echoey, indecipherable, but like it seems to have all the trappings of an impressive area, but she doesn't get to the point. She doesn't communicate it. And then the other thing is their general approach to this. Their whole idea of going and trying to get that bipartisan commission and giving the Republicans what they asked for. They've done it every time. They've done it so many times, but they still, even though they have every bit of evidence they need to communicate to the American people that the Republicans don't want to play ball on anything, they still haven't communicated that effectively yet, even though they keep aggregating this evidence that that's the case. And it has turned into that whole experience of like, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, banging your head against the same wall and expecting a different outcome, then you're insane.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting because I believe she is going to do the select committee thing. For some reason, she doesn't want that out there in the public yet. There will not be bipartisan support for an investigation. And here's a big reason why. Republicans already know that some of their guys were involved in this, that they were connected to some of these individuals who decided to storm the Capitol, engage in an insurrection. They know this. 2 days after that terrorist attack, Congressman Hank Johnson said, for this to have happened the way it did, for these individuals to know what they knew, it had to be an inside job with his colleagues. He said that. Now, he didn't have any evidence other than the fact of how it went down, right? And now more information is coming out that these individuals were connected. And why would we avoid a full investigation into something like this against the United States freaking Capitol? They're trying to hide something, but it'll come to the light. Let me shift gears. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would. You know what we do all across this country? We highlight the Karens of the world because Karens are dangerous. But here's a Karen who has now been charged with a hate crime. Okay. Alameda County District Attorney's Office charged a white woman with a hate crime after she confronted a black Amazon driver. She ended up calling 911 on this guy, telling the dispatcher that he was, and I quote, trying to escape. He had committed no crime. Her and the boyfriend of this Karen decided to pursue him for bad driving, and then they blocked him. They imprisoned him. He tried to leave to de-escalate. They stopped him. She ended up grabbing the wheel, grabbing the steering wheel of his Amazon truck in order to stop him from leaving the scene. Her name is Julie Worland, a 35-year-old resident of Berkeley, California. She got upset at Mr. Kendall McIntosh, a black 25-year-old Amazon driver. According to the police, Worland parked beside McIntosh in the van along the street in a way intended to prevent him from driving. According to Mr. McIntosh, the Daily Beast reported, that's when the harassing started happening. I was just trying to do my job and she wouldn't allow me to. She closed both double doors in the van. I was trying to leave out, according to Mr. McIntosh. Here's some of that video. She calls him the N-word. She kidnaps him, basically. She stops him from moving. He later said, listen, I was afraid that if the police came, they were going to arrest me, even though he knew he did absolutely nothing illegal. What is it about these Karens and black Amazon drivers? Because there's another situation, reminds me of something else. There was another Karen, you get double dose today, that decided to just pull out a gun on a black Amazon worker. Here it is.
You on, brother? You on, bro? Straight got the gun pointed at me like, what is she doing? Like, what the, bro? She tweaking. Like dead ass.
Now this woman can barely hold that damn gun up. And she comes out of her house. The only thing she knows is that he's a black man and he's at work. Those are the two things that she is aware of. And for whatever reason in her mind, that was worthy of her pulling out her gun and pointing it at this Amazon worker. Brett, if you're black and work for Amazon, they probably need to pay you more money.
Yeah, but they won't. And also they'll make you pee in a bag when you're doing your deliveries. I like the idea of the first Amazon driver she described as trying to escape. He's a delivery guy. Like his job is driving away. Like that's what he does. I think you're just misunderstanding the whole point. He had to go. That thing is full of delivery boxes and it's a giant car. This is it's this desire to be the judge, jury, and in the second case, executioner, essentially, of everything that's happening right now everywhere in America. And at the same time, a lot of them claim like this is my right and my freedom. No, it's not. Not to do that. Those people that you are going after and yelling at, and you have decided that they've committed a crime, in one case of speeding, from where? Speeding from like 1706 15th Street to 1719 16th Street. Like that's right down the street. They can't go that fast.
I find it so interesting that literally on the 911 call, she admits to the criminal action or criminal activity of kidnap because she says he's trying to escape. Well, that's because you have kidnapped him. You have held him against his will. That's why he's trying to escape. So literally, your 911 call has indicted you, Karen.
It really is like the full gamut. If you think of what jobs there are at Amazon. One is delivery driver, where this happens. Two is fulfillment center, where I don't know if people saw Nomadland, but it's not a documentary, but it's based on people's actual experiences, and not to mention the reporting of not letting them unionize and additional reporting of people having died because they couldn't find a bathroom in time or no one called when they, I think the specific death was no one called when he had like a major cardiac event because they were more focused on that. And then the other jobs that we see reported are stories where people have turned down $30,000 raises at their giant plushy tech version job of working at Amazon because they just want to work at home. They don't want to go to the office. And then you see Jeff Bezos being funded to the tune of billions of dollars when he's bailed out for his trip to space. Like if you plotted all those points like a beautiful mind on a wall, you would go crazy.
Very well said. Brett, it is always a pleasure, my brother. Tell people how they can catch your show, follow you on social media.
Well, tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, happy half hour at twitch.tv/TYT. A Twitch stream is the other version of an Amazon job, sort of, because it is owned by Amazon. So you can experience that. And then just Brett Ehrlich everywhere else, BRETTERLICH.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
We got more on the other side. Killer Mike coming to the bullpen, indisputable.
Well, the Young Turks, the Friday show is gonna be awesome. We're gonna help us over here. Drop it.
We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process, that is America.
On top of that, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award.
Best web host.
We passed 1 billion views. Voice Award winner, news and information channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse? Yeah! For those of you watching on the live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
Haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. And it was definitely the one against Fox.
I told you we were coming.
I mean, you talk about it when it becomes a problem. Our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they are being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy.
Tick-tock.
I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency.
Tick-tock. And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country.
November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Back to back that I like.
Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
Before we bring on the big homie Killer Mike, I got some comments to read. Let's get to it. Always remember, follow on Instagram and Twitter, Indisputable TYT. And make sure you join us on the YouTube page. Subscribe. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. Indisputable TYT. Okay, don't forget, we got an economic justice town hall June 26th. Cleveland, Ohio, Senator Nina Turner, co-hosted by Killer Mike Jenkins. It's gonna be just crazy, all right? You have to be part of that, even if you need to travel to Cleveland, Ohio. That's the Economic Justice Town Hall, June 26th. You can visit tyt.com/events to RSVP. Make sure you do that, okay? Make sure you do that ASAP. You can also watch the event live, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the main show, Facebook, Twitch, and tyt.com. All right, so make that happen. Here are some comments. TYT member says, Pedro Lena the Tropical Dragon says, when they see a black man on a delivery car, they know he's poor black man and rarely would not have any institutional support. Well, I think they make an assumption, but see, we're a village. All of us, you're part of that village. People that have the smartphone and they see what's going down, they're part of that village. So that becomes your de facto support, all right? YouTube super chat, exquisite coils. Most of us know who Trump was and didn't buy his act. He's always been an incompetent, rich, entitled failure with privilege. Vocal majority, Trump ain't smooth enough to be a pimp. Truth steers guilty says, Trump was not born, he was slithered out. Well, he was born, and that's unfortunate. You know, in a perfect world, I would have a flux capacitor. For all of my sci-fi people, you know exactly what a flux capacitor is. It allows me to travel back and forth in time. And I would travel back in time and I would meet Donald Trump's daddy. And I would give him a condom. Perfect world stuff. Auntie Faye says, Killer Mike is the only bullpen guest I'm cool cutting Brett off for. Me too, actually. Raul Sand says, on Amazon's delivery special instructions, carriers have to put only send white people to deliver and leave package on sidewalk. Okay. All right, we got more on the other side. We're gonna bring in my big homie Killer Mike. All right, it's indisputable.
Clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Indisputable. Welcome to the bullpen. Okay. Because yesterday I had a guy on the bullpen who was so insane that I had to kick him off my show, Pastor Jesse Lee Peterson. I am not going to have a debate on this show today. I'm going to bring you a treat to make up for the disaster of yesterday. And I got my big homie, there's no debate. We agree on almost everything, and we A-Town down, my friend Killer Mike. What up, Killer?
All right, what's up, man? Jesse Lee Peterson was on here yesterday. Oh my God.
You got it. I'm gonna send you the YouTube clip. It literally, I kicked him off the show in like 3 minutes because he got horrible fast. I didn't think he'll get that horrible that fast. But I'll send you the link.
If you ever want to see something funny, watch, I think it's DC from 85 South did his show.
I saw it. No, I saw that interview. He clowned him. I mean, he turned the table on Jesse. It was funny.
He acted like a bad kid in middle school with a substitute teacher who didn't know what to do. It was amazing.
It was, man. But it's good to see you.
So I see Uncle Jesse at the barbecue too, on the other side, but I don't know about to really go.
There you go, right, exactly. Good to have you on the show. We only have a few minutes, man. Let's get right into it. You are so well known, not only for your entertainment, your rapping, but also, that's what I'm talking about, mobilizing, energizing, being on the right side of issues. And you have influenced so many people in the entertainment world and beyond to actually take their platforms more seriously to become advocates for social justice. Let's talk about Black entrepreneurship, something that you're big on as well. Right now you have legislation being stalled that could help Black businesses. You have policy discussions not being had because of the gridlock of our current politics. But let's talk about the reality of the Black economy and how a better Black economy is really a better economy for America.
Yeah, even I said that. I think in Bloomberg possibly with Leanne who had but I said that, and the head of the feds in Atlanta said the exact same thing. A stronger Black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. So when people hear people supporting Black biz, things of that nature, don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you. We want the businesses to be owned by Black people, we want the lenders to be Black, but we want to provide services for the greater community. That's what we do. We just want to be able to be the chair on the leg on the chair that can hold up. We don't want to be the wobbly end. So no one think that's exclusive of them. It's inclusive of all. But Black business, let me tell Black people, whenever we've chosen to do business with one another and service ourselves in a greater community, we've done better. Our communities have been stronger. We had less crime. We had more fathers present in the community. We had greater freedoms, and we didn't have the oppressive amount of violence that we're experiencing in a lot of our communities now. Because a lot of our boys don't want to go to college and aren't being led to go to trade school. Mm-hmm. Trade school isn't just plumbing and carpentry and fixing stuff. It's owning your own business. It's being able to be someone who takes your products and services places and get the highest dollar amount. So I really think we need to take that seriously. I'm glad to be a part of something like Greenwood Banking. That's a banking platform that's going to roll out. That's not only going to allow people in banking deserts to have actual accounts, but eventually is going to grow to a lender for non-traditional businesses out of our community that the big three might not necessarily finance. And I'm proud to be a part of that because I've seen that work not only in Greenwood, Oklahoma, and Tulsa. I've seen it work on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta and Edgewood Avenue. I've seen it work in Harlem, New York, Inglewood in California. And I believe we can keep doing this the next 50, 100 years and start to close some of that economic gap and do more for ourselves.
Let me bring up something that is an actual policy bias. You already know there's this fight against critical race theory, which is simply the historical analysis of racism and how that racism connects to policy in America and our review of it. But there's this fight against it. But there is a policy, a recent policy from a bunch of money that was approved in the previous administration. So that COVID relief money bypassed Black business owners because it did not create a caveat, and I say it didn't bypass all of them, but sole proprietors in particular, because one, sole proprietors did not have the background or the paperwork necessary in order to apply for it, and the government did not create an avenue that said, here's how we're going to make sure you all can be part of this lump sum of money that we're putting out. So here's a stat: 3 million black sole proprietors make up 11.7% of such businesses in the country. Meanwhile, black-owned employer businesses make up only 2. Okay, we're back. Had a technical issue. We're back.
We won't be defeated.
We won't be defeated, Killer Mike, at all, man.
Like the Hulk, we gotta believe.
The overwhelming reality is that black businesses continue to be left out of massive policy to impact their economy. Yes. So what will it take, brother, to put the emphasis necessary to make sure we create a stronger black ecosystem of financial support in our communities?
It's gonna take more than a federal holiday.
Come on, brother.
All right, so let's talk about, you got a federal holiday because an area where blacks had built their own, for blacks, by blacks, and the greater community. The white community that was working class or poor got angry, aided by government to bomb and decimate that community. And we got a holiday, and I like any day off you give me, I can cook barbecue and drink some beer. But we are due more. And what we are due are land grants. We're due government done compete clause contracts, which we already have a provision for, and black democratic cities are not honoring those things in the way they should. And the federal government, the people you just got in the government, Joe and Kamala owe you something, and they owe you more. The people under the gold domes and representatives owe you more than a damn holiday. And I appreciate the day off now. I'm definitely gonna barbecue and I'm gonna sip some Hennessy. But you have, actually I'm gonna sip Johnny Walker Blue. Don't give me no cheap bottle. But we have to demand now policy that, like Yvette Carnell says, and I appreciate this just for saying this, the government owes you something. They owe you farmland, they owe you exclusive contracts, they owe you building rights when they're putting up this new infrastructure. So black people, when we send these people out, let's make sure that they bring something back. I'm telling Warnock this, I'm telling Ossoff this, I'm telling Biden this, I'm telling Kamala this, I'm telling Clyburn this, I'm telling anybody who will listen, who asks me for my black vote every 2 and 4 years, I need something in return, because the quicker we can do for ourselves, the freer we can be, and the better this country will be. And I want my people out there who might not disagree with me. Who might not agree. The people who follow Jesse Lee Peterson, the people who listen to conservative radio. Strong black economy equals us needing you less. And if we need you less, this whole country can start to grow in a better way. While kids will be better educated, will be better funded, your grandchildren to have something provided for them. So I implore all Americans to make sure that the black community is strong economically, so that our greater community can be by proxy. And in matters of critical race theory, my grandmother had a better word for it: the truth.
Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Teach that. I got criticized by a bunch of Democrats, by the way, when I said we don't send politicians to DC to give us holidays. Now, it's a good holiday, but that's not the goal. And it becomes antithetical to progress when you believe that you are winning because you got a holiday. Remember, the same Republicans helped bring you that holiday. These same Republicans that helped bring you that holiday are anti the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. They're anti-HR 1. They are against the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act. They are adversarial to the reparations study, HR 40. They are against every policy aimed at progress for black and brown and disenfranchised communities. They do not get a hero cookie because they passed their holiday. As I said, I agree with you, brother. It's not a bad thing, but it's not the goal. That is not the agenda.
And I'm gonna tell you this. Don't just look for the people who loudly against you. Look at the people who silently don't support you when it's time. See, because a lot of them silent people, you sit in the office. And then when it comes time to give you something, well, we didn't have enough across the aisle support. That's not why I sent you up there, sucker. I sent you up there to bring something home to your district. And if your district is a majority black district in a Democratic enclave, then I expect something more than a damn holiday.
And here's the other thing,
y'all
man.
Got to bleep me on that. But we deserve more.
No, you good. You can use that here, brother. I've said worse. The other part of that is you got all of this, and I said earlier on the show, man, Nancy Pelosi playing games. We should have been had a select committee investigating what happened at January 6th, prosecuting individuals, even if they are elected officials who were involved. But here's the other game they played. They start saying we need to have a bipartisan way forward for the sake of bipartisanship. Well, those cats you work with did not elect you. We did not elect you to have a bipartisan agenda. We elected you to have our agenda. And as long as you keep saying we won't move forward without support from the other side, or we'd rather have support from our colleagues on the other side, that's not the spirit of politics, nor is it the spirit that you campaigned on. You told us you had a separate, unique, and different agenda than the people who were in power for 4 years.
When I show up with the bullet section, I'm with Rashad. I just want y'all to know that. I'm gonna let him do all the talking. I'm gonna let him take care of the business. I'm there as the goon. I'm gonna come up with my mask on.
Come on, bro. Come on, homie.
I really love and appreciate you and always telling our people the truth and just pushing forward. Thank you, Rashad. I'm very proud of you for the show, bro.
Man, thank you, brother. Iron sharpens iron. You know, we A-Town down. You're my big homie. You have inspired so many, including myself. And I appreciate you, man. Before I let you go, brother, how's the wife? How's the family?
She good. She ain't left me, so we good. The kids are good, thank God. And man, everything is amazing. We're proud to be still in business at the arena with the Hawks playing. We're proud that the swag shops are growing. I'm very happy to see progress happening on the ground. I'm seeing a lot of progressives on the ground organizing in Atlanta, and I'm just happy to be alive in this time with my contemporaries. Thank you for having me,
brother. Always a pleasure. Killer Mike, thank you, man.
Love.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.